We're ready.
Very good. Thanks, Owen. Good evening. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the Northborough Conservation Commission, and this is the July meeting of the commission. This open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 29th, 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Clark.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Diane Gouldner.
Here.
Todd Helwig.
Here.
Very good. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Vincent Vignali.
Here.
Owen Jones.
Here.
Thank you. Some business ground rules. For presenters and/or applications on the agenda, the chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until the name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call vote. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Diane, do you have the notice?
I do.
I'm going to excuse myself for a second. I had a small disaster here with a spilled drink. I shall return shortly.
Okay, I can wait. Okay.
Yeah, go right ahead. Don't wait for me.
Okay. There will be a meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission on Monday, July 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on March 29th, 2023. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. To participate in the public comment portion of this public hearing, go to the Northborough Remote Meetings YouTube channel or the town website for Zoom information. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw, or the Northborough Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance Bylaw. First is the application for a request of determination of applicability at 3, 7, and 11 Reservoir Street, map 42, parcel 7, by James Romeo, to construct a common driveway within the outer riverfront area. Grading is proposed with 160 feet of the riverbank. Application for a notice of intent at 210 Brewer Street, map 26, parcel 21, by Natalino Silva, to restore impacted bordering vegetated wetlands and construct a new pavilion within the 25-foot no disturb wetland buffer zone. And that's what I have.
Very good. Thanks, Diane.
Mhm.
Okay, meeting minutes. Very, very well done. I reviewed them again. I mean, 10 pages of meeting minutes. And Justin, you can also vote on these since you reviewed the meeting, so you're up to speed on everything. Anybody have any questions or comments on the meeting minutes from June 12th? If there are none, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded by Diane. Roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. Minutes are carried. Vinnie, adjustments to the agenda here. So moving some things around. We have a number of items that were, for the most part, completed last month, but we couldn't close because they didn't have DEP numbers issued yet. So I'm going to move those to the top. So I'd like to do this. Let's go with the Hudson Street ANRADs first.
Sounds good.
I think the feeling was everybody was fine with the delineation, but there was no DEP number. So 162 Whitney Street, you can also, I think, deal with soon up front. And 150 Ball Street. What do you think about that? That work?
Sounds good.
yeah,
So let's start with Hudson Street, lots 19, 20, and 21. So we have anybody on from there. No, I see her. Yep, I see Ecotech raising their hand. Okay. Promoting to panelist.
Oh, and I'm getting an email from Tom saying he can't get into the
All right, I will.
the email.
there
I'll
it
send him
is.
a link.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul McManus from Ecotech.
Okay, Paul, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So Vinnie, from last month's meeting, and also documented the minutes, I believe that you were satisfied with the delineation after you made some changes to it.
Yes, Paul McManus was out there. He did the delineation. I walked it a couple of times, and the changes and his explanation of why the line was where it was were adequate and very good. So I'm in support of the delineation that was shown on the most current plan.
Any commissioners have questions dealing with what happened last month? No? Okay, do we need a motion to close the hearing on lots 19, 20, and 21 on 0 Hudson Street?
I
So
so
moved.
move.
So moved by Diane Goldner, seconded by Todd. All in favor, roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
But I vote yes. The meeting is closed. Motion to issue an ANRAD for those 3 locations.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
seconded by Dan Clark. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay,
Thank you very much. I appreciate going through this. Appreciate Vinnie's help and appreciate getting first on the agenda.
well, thanks for working with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay,
Good
you
night.
too. All right. 162 Whitney Street. Arlene Marshall's the applicant. This is to raise and rebuild the house that was burned down. Let's see if anybody is here for that. Okay. Nicole Hayes.
Hello, my name is Nicole Hayes with Goddard Consulting. Can you hear me?
Hey, yes.
We can. Yes, we can.
Yes, hi,
Um,
I'm here. I'm here on behalf of the applicant for 162 Whitney Street. Then the notice of intent, the new house lot, the new house that will be built is to be positioned further away from the wetland than was presently before the house unfortunately burned down. And really, we were just waiting for the DEP number to come in on this project, which we have received, and DEP didn't have any major comments about the project. So we're hoping to have the commission approve the notice of intent with an order of conditions. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to go over anything.
Vinny, what were the items from last? Do we want some signs out there? I know that in general, this was good because it's further away from the resource area than the existing structure.
Yes, yes. The only thing that we were looking for that wasn't on the plans was a couple of the signs. We have wetland signs to kind of limit any further encroachments or getting any closer to the wetlands than already exist. So I think that might have been included on your final design, but I don't remember that. Either way, we can put it in.
Yes, it was included, and you can always make it as, if need be, you can have it as a condition in the order of conditions, and we will definitely adhere to that.
Okay, and does the commission want to have, there's already a fence out there in the backyard. It's not quite at the 25 feet offset. Would the commission think the signs are enough for that? It's a single residence house, and right now the existing house is probably 15 feet closer than what the proposed house would be. So I think it's an improvement all around. And I don't know that we need anything more than the signs.
Would be all right.
Comments from the commission?
I think the signs are fine.
I would agree.
Okay, that was all with me.
No issues. Then need a motion to close the hearing on 162 Whitney Street.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
I didn't get that. Who was first there?
your call.
Okay, I think it was Dan Clark.
I didn't even speak.
Well, I thought Justin was throwing his voice.
I think I had Tom by like a split second, maybe.
Very good. Okay, seconded by Justin. Roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. Hearing is closed. We need a notice of an approval for an order of conditions for 162 Whitney Street, with a condition around 2 signs, Vinny?
I think that's what they have, but yes, 2 signs.
2 signs to be placed and Vinny to be updated on where their proposal placement is.
Yes.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Seconded by Justin. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole. Good luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The last one I have here for a short discussion is 150 Ball Street, Davidian Farm. Let's see, we have Ed Davidian here. I'm sure he wants to come in.
Am I here?
We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay, good. That's probably all you get.
We'll take it, Ed. We'll take it. So
Okay.
what's going on at 150 Ball Street?
Well, what we're doing is we're going to be building a packing house storage facilities up in back of our building that's currently there.
Okay.
I have an image so you can see where it is, so the commission can see it. Somewhere on here.
Yeah, it's approximately 25 feet in back of the building that we have.
Okay.
We're just outgrowing the packing facility that we have. We need to expand.
Okay, there's a, Vinny's put up a,
Yep.
an aerial shot.
Yeah, almost. Okay. So here we go. This is a 150. How far down do I go? This is Ball Street coming in the corner, and it goes up to their operations here where they have a greenhouse is located in this area. This picture was taken before the greenhouse was installed. But this is their operation there, and they're proposing to put it in the red square area. That's approximately the appropriate size, being 60 by 100. And there's no wetlands. There's a little wetland down here, but you can see the scale is, I think it says 500 scale, 500 foot to the inch, or well, according to the scale, it's an inch. So they're more than 500 feet away from any wetlands. And there's a stream down in here, but it's not an issue at all. And the property within the APR is highlighted in blue. Or one of the
Michael
properties.
Davidian's raised his, I'm sorry, Vinny, Michael Davidian's raised his hand. I'm bringing Michael into the meeting also.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Is the blue area is one of the parcels. There's APR on the property to the south as well, but this is the one that they're talking about, and it's referenced in this request to build the packing facility in there. So it's a building associated with an agricultural use, so it's allowed on an APR, agricultural preservation restriction. The commission holds the restriction, so they need permission from us before Department of Food and Ag will authorize the grant or a loan, whatever it might be.
Okay, good. Good. So this is real, there's no resource impact, area impact. It's really administrative from the APR side and Concom
Yes.
holding it. Okay.
Yeah, I felt bad about how they got the information to me the day after our last meeting, and it would have been simple to have it done, but they had to wait a month now. So I think it's pretty easy. We just have to vote to authorize it. And that would be authorizing Greg to sign.
Any questions from the commission? Questions, concerns, or comments?
No.
Okay. We still want to close the hearing first, Vinny, right?
It doesn't need a formal public hearing, but it was one of the ones where we had a discussion, a formal discussion to have, if there were any abutters have concerns, it might be a time to ask for that, but that's all.
I'm looking here. I don't see anybody with their hand up. Nope. Nobody.
All right. Uh-oh.
Oh, did we lose Greg, Vinny?
He's kind of, I see him coming back, I think. He did disappear for a minute.
So do we on this one, Vinny, maybe just need a vote to authorize to allow Greg to sign a letter?
Yes, what I think I saw was, yeah, an authorization from the Concom for Greg to have signed for a building construction.
Vinny, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm in Zoom jail here, so.
I think you're live. We just can't see you.
Right. Well,
So
let's take the vote on this one and move forward. Then I'll do like technical issue.
Yeah.
So we should close the hearing. That was the last discussion when I pressed the wrong button, right?
I think so.
No hearing to close on this one, is there? Isn't it just
The vote.
authorize Greg to sign the letter?
That's a good motion.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
Second.
All right. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes,
Todd Hillweek.
Yes.
I vote yes. All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ed.
Yep, thank you.
Good luck.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Owen, what can I do to get back here?
What's wrong? Do you know?
Video.
I
No
think you're
video.
back.
Can you not turn it on?
Bottom
Every
left.
time I bring my mouse over it, it gives me a mute piece here. Let me try. Yeah, I got a choice of pin or rename. We just drop off entirely, log out and log back in.
I would log out and log back in. We can try that.
All right.
If that doesn't work, you can share your screen and we can do it that way too.
All right. I'm going to log out and we'll try.
Oh, there we go.
You're muted, Greg.
Better. Thank you.
There we go.
Okay. Then let's flip into the agenda from this top here, starting with continued hearing on the stormwater, the NOI and stormwater management land disturbance permit for 119 Barefoot Road, the senior center ADA trail. So we get some raised hands here. Megan Kearns, promote to panelist. Scott Charpentier, promote to panelist. Josh Milenig. Okay, should have 3 folks coming in here. Hey, Scott.
Mr. Chair, thank you for having us.
Welcome, Megan. Hello, Josh. Okay, so continuation from last month. We went through it last month. We had a number of questions around some mitigation and some details around sediment control, TSS recharging, some more details in general. Vinny, does that encompass what we're looking for?
Yes, some of the redesign option for the wall, if that can be changed, and then like temporary sediment controls.
Okay. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe Weston Sampson has addressed the comments and submitted amended drawings late this afternoon. My understanding is that they're going to go through these comments and address them before the commission now. Vinny, have you got a chance to look through what was submitted?
I haven't gotten any plans, but I got I think it was at 4 or something. There was something submitted on the response to comments. I haven't had a chance to go through that.
Josh, would you like to go through with the chair and the commission?
Yes, please. There's one other person in our firm, Jeanette. I'm
Yep,
not
I've
sure
got
if
her.
can you admit her? She's going to be driving the slide deck
Yep.
for us.
Jeanette Frizzoli, she is now
Yes.
joining us.
All right, perfect. She's the real leader, so we need her here. She'll share the plans.
Thank you.
Great. So yeah, I just wanted to thank the commission and everybody here tonight for hearing us again. I'm Josh Milenig. I'm a senior project manager with Weston & Sampson. Trying to get this project over the finish line with you guys tonight. So we got comments back from the commission through Vinny from our last meeting back in June, where we discussed reducing some of the impervious, some of the pavement thicknesses between 2 parts of the path, which we were able to do. We skinnied that down from a 6-foot wide path to a 4-foot wide. It's on this little isthmus that's right up through here. So we thinned that down between the 2 bench points, which are on the shoulders of the of our walkway path there. I think that was a comment from the commission there. So we've reduced that down to 2 feet. And then also towards the left of this plan, Jeanette, where our stone dust pathway T intersections into the pavement path, we've pulled that out. It was creeping into the 35 foot buffer area. That was a comment that we addressed that came through the commission. So we were able to slide that page south, we'll call it, and pull the path portion of that out of the buffer zone. So we're just into the wetland buffer zone there with a little bit of regrading and some revegetation that's kind of spilling into the 35 foot. We've updated our plans here. We understood that there was some kind of confusion. They were a little hard to read with the various buffer zones here. So we just simplified it here. We have kind of the red area, that's from the wetland flag, that's to your 25 foot no buffer. The green is your 35 foot buffer zone. And then the 100 foot wetland zone is all the magenta there. So hopefully this helps kind of clear up and helps to really visualize kind of where we're doing a lot of our work there. Also, another one of the comments that we addressed from the June meeting was to put slope indicators on our grading plan to indicate where we are pitching the water on the walking surfaces away from the resource areas. So we have a couple slope indicators that just show that we're pitching those away at 1.5% away. So any stormwater that falls onto the paved areas and the pathway areas, they're going to be directed away from the wetland into the vegetation areas along either side and the shoulders, and allow to just infiltrate naturally into the soils there. And then the last comment was looking at the switchback area where we have a little bit of a wall that's kind of on this lower right-hand corner there. This is kind of a pinch point where the ADA accessible path needs to come down. It's really a mathematical equation where we start up at the senior center area. That's our starting point, and then trying to match up with that little kind of appendage pathway that goes out to the little kind of peninsula. There's about a 16.5 foot grade change between those 2 points. So if you run the math at a 4.5% slope, you need a certain amount of distance to get in there. So the current layout makes that distance and it makes that path an ADA accessible kind of slope. That's the reason why it goes all the way so far to the left before it makes that 180-degree turn kind of back. So we looked at this in more depth. We cut a couple sections through there just to kind of verify that our walls are the minimum amount of wall that we need in there to really minimize the amount of disturbance that would be taking place in this particular area. We looked at potentially trying to pull the wall and the walkway back towards the parking lot area, but we just felt that if you pull the wall and the walkway back towards the parking lot area, you're going to really start to clip out some of the existing natural forest that's in there, which we feel is a good buffer between your parking lot areas and your wetland slopes there, just to help kind of screen parking lot cars, any lights that are on in your parking lot area from spilling light into the wetland resource areas. So for those reasons, we felt that the current layout and the wall heights and the slopes provide the most accessible pathway down while minimizing to the maximum extent possible the amount of disturbance that we would be impacting into the resource areas. So we can walk you through some more of those questions. And then we did get another set of comments from Vinny about mid-afternoon last Thursday. So Vinny, we've addressed those comments line by line, and I sent you some documents late this afternoon. It sounds like you might have just received them or maybe haven't, but we're happy to walk through those if that would be preferred.
Yeah, no, like I said, I hadn't had a chance to review it, but I think what your summary was very good. I think it made a good description of where we stand. I think your The wall was one of the questions that the commission had. I guess I would open it up to them, but the idea of having the vegetation, I guess, having the line or having the path moved up closer towards the parking lot. Your justification for that was that you said it would save more trees, or your current locations would provide more of a buffer from the parking lot, but the concern is from the commission is the buffer to the wetlands. So in this case, you're taking trees down close to the wetlands as opposed to up near the parking lot, whereas the commission's concern is usually to protect the area that's a no disturb around the pond edge. So that was kind of the intent of the suggestion, was to move it closer to the parking lot. So can you justify that to the commission?
Yeah, as if moving it back towards the parking lot, we'll call it that way, we're still going to be impacting into the wetland buffer zone as to just the grades that we need to achieve on this ADA accessible slope. We still are going to have some disturbance that's going to happen from the pathway down to very close to the wetland edge. Even if we pulled it really far back, I don't think we're not able to respect the 25-foot no disturb buffer. So we figured that keeping a little bit more of a forest edge between the parking lot and the wetland buffer is a net benefit towards to the wetland area. So if we move the pathway back, we're just going to end up taking out all the trees that are between the parking lot and our pathway, plus probably more of the trees going down towards the wetland buffer edge. So we decided, and we thought that keeping some of that forest closer between the parking lot areas is a better outcome than just having no trees between the parking lot and the wetland area.
How much encroachment are you doing right now in that area, inside the 25?
We are regrading pretty close, about a foot or so away from the wetland flag line. We're meeting and matching the grades just outside, about a foot above where the wetland flag line is.
That's the area highlighting right now in the triangle.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, you can see our limit of work line just kind of kisses just outside of that the wet line, the WET line that's in blue. So that's our limit of work. That's our limit of grading. I don't know, Jeanette, if it makes sense to flip back to the grading plan, just to kind of show the extents. We're meeting and matching that. I'm not exactly sure what contour line it is, but that one that's right outside of the wet line. So that's where we're meeting and matching existing grades. We're staying completely out of the wetland flag resource area. We're not proposing to do any work within there. All of our erosion sedimentation control is going to be outside of the flag line. We are doing this compost filler tube. This will remain in place in perpetuity. It's a seeded erosion control wattle, so that'll stay forever and just provide some additional sedimentation mitigation ongoing, and also provide more planting to help.
Okay. Just a question, Vinny and folks from Weston Sampson. You're looking for a number of waivers, correct, from the bylaws? Do we have a listing of the waivers you're looking for and your mitigation plan for each one? That'd be a lot easier to figure out here.
Yeah, we do have the list of waivers. That was one of the comments, Vinny, that we were just buttoning up late this afternoon. That was part of the reason of our delay getting responses out to you. But we do have that list of waivers. It is in the latest response that we sent back to you this afternoon.
It's an attachment. Yeah, I was just gonna say it's an attachment C. If you wanted to scroll down to that, we provided more information, Vinny, that you requested that details a bit more reasons for support of this request and some more information. So this supplements the previous list that we included in the supplemental response number 1, I believe.
How many waivers are you looking for exceptions to? Or are you looking for?
Quite a few. I don't know if I've counted all of them.
You're talking like 20, 15, 26, whatever.
I would say more in the realm of 5, 10, 15 waivers. We have waivers for both the stormwater and land disturbance permit as well as your Northborough wetlands bylaw. So we have a list of waivers for both of those.
My 2 cents only, and I would ask for the commission's comments after I make my comments, and that is that receiving 15 waivers an hour and a half before the meeting is not really the way to do business, in my view. We need time to digest them, discuss them, and hopefully come to these meetings and work through it, not have this be a working session for 2 hours. My 2 cents says that we let Vinny go through that listing, work any gaps with you, so that when we talk about this, it can be a streamlined out process as opposed to a long working session. Now, if the commission feels otherwise, fine, but I'd be interested in hearing comments.
I agree with you 100%, Greg. This seems, yeah, we haven't even had a chance to look at this, so.
So we did include a list of waivers in our first supplemental response back on June 12th that listed out each waiver that we were requesting. And then Vinny requested some additional information for reasons in support of those waivers. So we do have a general list. I'm counting them right now. It looks like eight waivers, not 15. My apologies. There are 4 under the Northborough wetland bylaw and 4 under the stormwater management land disturbance bylaw. Just want to make a note of that.
Any other commissioner have comments on this? Do you want to move forward as it is? Do you want to look for a different approach?
I just one question, Greg. On one of your plans, it showed a section of trail that was not ADA accessible. So I guess I'm curious. My understanding of this was to create an ADA accessible loop around the pond, but there's a section that's not.
Through the chair, the loop around the pond, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, is ADA accessible. The loop you see up to the left that goes up the hill toward the cell tower, that's not ADA accessible. There's no way that would be. That's far too steep. But the intent and goal was to have ADA accessibility around the pond and then around the parking lot. So while we were talking about the single switchback that goes from the senior center rear patio and does a 180, if you look to the left of that, there's a substantial switchback there that maintains the ADA accessibility.
It's not what your plan says.
I'm sorry, Dan?
It's not what the plan says. If you zoom in, you saw a section of trail that says this does not meet ADA requirements.
That's the section that's highlighted right there. That is an 8%.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the loop, right?
The loop there, we have the big jug handle that goes off to the left out into the woods. That is ADA accessible. That is a stone dust surfacing, which is a compliant surface, and the running slopes are all under 5% with the 1.5% cross pitch. So you can get around the pond. There's just one section here that is not, quote, ADA accessible.
So the trail with the switchbacks, Josh, south of that or whatever, below that is ADA accessible around the parking lot as well.
Correct. Yeah, the kind of the zigzag that goes back and forth that's heading down towards to the left, down to the left of there. That is accessible. Yeah, it's so just that one highlighted area is at an 8% pitch.
I guess my point is, if that's not ADA accessible, why are you making it paved? Why not just make it a single foot traffic trail?
The pavement is to help stabilize the slope. A running slope downhill at 8% is a little more prone to erosion. So
Yes,
having
my-
a stone dust would not be the recommended surfacing so close to the resource areas.
Well, I guess my other point is, then why is that a trail at all? Why not just cut that out of the loop completely? Seems like a lot of disturbance unnecessarily.
It's part of the original trail project that was presented at town meeting and as part of the charrettes at the senior center. This is what the scope is of the project.
Yeah, but you could make a single a footpath that you could.
We're not building a footpath. We're not building a footpath that's not compliant, not ADA compliant, but not just amble body compliant. So it's part of the project. If I don't understand what the question.
Well, you have trails all over Edmund Hill.
Right.
Correct.
There's currently a footpath in that location. That's why you put it there, right? That was the idea
Yeah,
of the original
there's-
design.
Yeah, the
So
whole-
why not just leave
Leave it
the
as a footpath.
original footpath and just
The whole
pull
area
that section
was-
is what Dan is saying.
Okay, the whole area was laid out by the Trails Committee. A lot of it is already footpaths. There's, at the end of the day, is there any reason for any improvements if all we want is footpaths? I'm not sure. Are we cutting out pieces of the project?
No, it's already a footpath. There's already a trail there.
Okay.
I guess Dan's question is, why do we need to improve something that's already there?
Particularly
need
if it's not going to be ADA accessible. Why go through all that effort and disturbance when it's already a trail?
We don't need to.
Okay. So we can cut that out of the plan?
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying it's not
Oh.
it's not a requirement. I mean, it's part of the project. It's been laid out. It's been presented at town meeting. If we're going to start cutting out pieces of it, then, we'll reevaluate the necessity of the project, I guess.
So.
I don't see how that makes or breaks a project, but okay.
For my perspective, I mean, we will approve a lot of things that have a lot more impact on wetlands than this will. And this has been looked at by the CPC, town meeting, Trails Committee, Senior Center. I'm just gonna suggest that the public good of whatever this is gonna outweigh whatever we're trying to protect here.
Well, I have a different opinion about that particular section, but whatever, that I've made my opinion known.
There's no vehicles, there's no salt, there's no sand, there's no plowing. As far as sedimentation, once the vegetation is established, I don't see where there's a lot of difference in the current condition outside of a wider, more accessible path.
And even if that section's not ADA accessible per the regulations, it's gonna be more accessible.
Correct. It's a smooth walking surface with a regular cross pitch on it that more able-bodied people can use and navigate. Somebody that's visually impaired or has other things it's more stable underfoot. It's not a kind of a woodland trail, so to speak. So there are some benefits to having a consistent material up the walkway.
Yeah, and I think just my thought on that a little bit, I know it's kind of a small section. It's what was it, Josh? 7.5%. So that's kind of your typical handicap ramp accessible. It could be accessible if that had handrails and some kind of level landing areas, but I don't think we need that out here. And I feel like at 7.5%, at least to me, we work on roads in Worcester and other things that are 16% and things, and people still navigate those. I feel like having the hard surface there would be good for somebody, pushing a baby stroller or something like that. They could still easily kind of navigate that section. So to me, it kind of still still kind of feeds into the thought of this overall project. And if somebody really needs that flatter slope, you know, they've got kind of that longer walk that they can get through. So I guess in my eyes, I'm okay with it, and I kind of understand from an engineering standpoint, at least trying to just get that in there to kind of complete the loop around there. Is there going to be signage that calls that out before you get to that spot?
Yes, we have wayfinding signage around all the trail intersections, just to indicate, you know, what direction they're going, so that there's no confusion. There's going to be a lot of vegetation remaining, so when you're at that intersection, you may not be sure whether you take a right or go straight.
Okay, and then just my other question, where we are doing work within the 25-foot, what's the existing vegetation there today? Is there any invasives or any of that were taken out of there to revegetate that area, or is it just kind of mostly, you know, some wetland vegetation that's kind of going back to what it was, or probably mostly upland vegetation? But is there anything invasive that we're getting out of there that kind of has a benefit?
So I don't recall there being very much invasive species out there. It was mostly nice wetland vegetation. It's a really beautiful wetland, so it'll be nice to be able to have the public go and walk around it and see some fish. I think I saw fish when I was out there last, so it's a really beautiful spot. I don't recall seeing any invasive species while I was out there.
So
Which I think
Megan,
was,
what are we doing with that slope for revegetation? Is it just getting like a mix, or we planting, like plugging any plants there, or putting any plants along that new slope, or is it just we're gonna kind of obviously armor it with a little bit of I would assume some type of an erosion control mat or something like that, and then it just getting some mix?
yep, I believe we're,
Correct.
yep, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I was just going to say on, so our standard detail is slopes greater than 4:1 will get a jute mesh matting and erosion control blanket of some material that'll be staked down. We have some wattles that'll get installed at a periodic interval going down there. But the vegetation is a restoration seed mix that we're going to get from, you know, New England wetland plants or something similar to that, that's appropriate for this particular area. You know, we want to get something that's going to germinate quickly and revegetate as fast as possible, but then also providing some sort of wildlife habitat to, you know, birds and insects and things like that. So it's strictly just a seed mix. We can get seed mix that do have shrub components into them. So we can add that into them. Just the native, this is kind of our typical detail there. We're going to have an amended loam, 6 inches, but we also want to scarify the subgrade just to provide a good interface between the two, break up any potential decompaction between the layers to allow more infiltration into the subsoils. But any of these areas that are over 4:1 that will receive an erosion control matting blanket.
You good, Justin?
I got actually a follow up on that, where you have the mat. You've got a materials sheet, and I didn't see anything called out on the materials sheet where that matting was going to go. That was one of the questions that I had.
Yeah, we're relying on the detail to show all the places that are over a 4:1. We have it noted greater than 4:1, so it'll just be a coordination item that the contractor has to look at the grading plan and know where we have areas that are greater than 4:1, and he was required to put his erosion control matting on those areas.
Okay, so the materials plan doesn't reflect that?
The materials plan does not reflect erosion control. That would, you know, on our demo plan, our site prep plan, that will show the areas that we're removing vegetation from, but we don't call out where the matting's going to go. We do show where wattles go, or silt fence, or catch basin type of protection, those type of things, which we don't have any catch basin or protection on here, but just in general, that's typically how plans are shown.
Okay, and you mentioned the silt fence. Where's the silt fence going to go? You have a detail for the silt fence and the wattle. Is that shown somewhere on the plans?
Yes.
Because they weren't on the previous one. I'm just not sure where it would go.
Yeah, so previously we had the wrong call out there. We've adjusted the call out. It's going to point to detail 3 on 500, which is the wattle and the silt fence. So that is our kind of dash line. And then we also have kind of a belts and suspenders that's happening around the wetland area where we're going to have the 12-inch wattle that will remain. And then just uphill from that, we would have the sediment and wattle fence. I believe that was one of the comments from our June meeting, was having a wattle with a silt fence is a good visual indicator if there's any excess erosion happening and it's starting to build up on the sediment fence. It's an easy visual thing that the contractor can go walk by and see. But on the downhill side, we would have another wattle that we would remain after we pull the sediment fence out. We'd have another wattle remain.
Okay, I just wasn't sure where that was shown on your plan, so that as long as it's been clarified on the new plans, that's good.
Yep. It should be shown.
Okay, good.
Can we go back to the wall for a second? We talked about earlier up here in front.
Mhm.
Justin, last month, I remember you had some concerns about or suggestions about that wall.
Yeah, I know some of my thought was, you might be able to extend the wall, maybe limit some of the grading. I mean, also potentially, pull the trail a little further away. I think Josh kind of touched on that we'd end up probably removing some larger vegetation in there that we might not want to. And I think I remember that maybe from the last meeting where we talked about maybe trying to pull it away. And I'm looking at the aerial right now, there is a good amount of trees in there. So it looks like, yeah, maybe the further we pull it away, the more we're going to start to impact those, which I don't think we really want to do. Yeah, my only other thought with the wall is, maybe it gets a little higher. Maybe that saves you from having to grade all the way down the slope to the edge of the wetland. But it seems like maybe you folks looked at that already and it doesn't save you much as far as the grading goes. And you have to dig down to put the foundations for the wall and everything in. So once you start doing that, are we really saving anything? Maybe not. And then we kind of have more of a fall hazard or something too once that wall starts to get a little tall. So I mean, talking through it, looking through it, I think we've got a pretty good approach here. I think the biggest thing is just making sure some of that vegetation just really, takes. It's going to be a pretty steep slope heading down towards that wetland. So making sure that there's some stuff in there that grows really quick. And I think just making sure that jute netting stays in place and does its job. I think that'll be the thing to kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah, the jute matting is intended to remain. We're not going to pull it out. Typically,
it biodegrades, right, over time. Is that what it does?
Correct. Yeah, and we hydro seed under the jute mat, and then we put the mat down, and then we'll put a second application over top of it. That's generally how you install these. So once you start getting vegetation growing through the jute matting, you can't rip it up. But yeah, it's a natural jute hemp burlap type material that over time will eventually degrade, decompose. But it really helps to stabilize the slopes in combination with the vegetation. The mix that we have does have a quick germinating seed variety in there, so we can get some initial roots in the ground while we're waiting for the other kind of more native materials to kind of sprout and take. So it's a very effective erosion control method.
When I looked at this plan that you have shown on the screen, this section, I didn't see a line. What's the existing grade look like out there? Is that, it's not shown somewhere, because the idea of what Justin was asking or talking about was on the downside of that wall, making that wall a little higher so you don't have to grade all the way down to what number 279.4, so that hopefully you could catch the existing grade before that. I can't tell what you need or what you can do without having the existing grade shown on the cross section.
Yes, we did not.
Steep,
we did, yeah. Yeah, noted. We didn't put the existing topography on there, but currently it's a steep slope to begin with. It measures out around 3:1, getting a little steeper than that. I'd have to double check the actual grades, but right now it is a fairly steep slope to begin with. You can see it in the existing conditions kind of plan here. We
Right.
do have some trees noted on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees down slope as well as upslope. So
Sure.
it's not a lose trees or not lose trees. But the other thing is you've got a steep slope that's running almost parallel to your slope coming off that proposed wall. So that if you could make the wall a little higher, you would be able to catch it a little sooner and not be right down to the edge of the wetland. So that was the question. Why wouldn't you make that wall a little higher? Is there an ADA reason was the question that came up last time? I wasn't sure.
So as far as ADA, you know, we touched on the height differential and getting a 4.5% down in there. The math works out to a certain amount of run. So this area where the wall is, we did take a look at if we extended the wall, we make it taller, we push the slope on the bottom side of the wall down more. How much would that save us? Once you start getting fall differentials between higher than 30 inches, you're required to have a guardrail or a handrail in there, which if we're starting to get a bigger wall in there, putting handrails down with 4 foot deep footings to meet the load requirements on said handrails and guardrails, it becomes a larger disturbance in this particular area. So for those reasons, keeping the wall as low as we possibly can is better of an overall solution to this particular area, as we're just so close to the wetland areas. We want to keep our slope from the wall to the wetlands as low as possible. Right now we're averaging around a 2-to-1 slope. And if we decided we looked at raising the wall to 30 inches, a 2.5 foot drop. If you take that extra foot that we lower the bottom of the wall to and extrapolate that and spread that out over the whole run, you don't really gain much. You're not going to be able to catch the existing grade, 5 feet from the wall or 8 feet up from the edge of the wetland. You're really going to still need to kind of regrade that slope almost towards where we currently are showing.
Those are the things that I was hoping you'd analyze. So if you've done that, that's good.
We have, yes.
And so you don't need a railing when you've got a 2-to-1 slope off the back,
We do not.
As long as it's not more than 30 inches?
Correct. Okay. Yes, we don't need a railing there. We're keeping the wall as low as we can. Now the wall is one of these kind of Versalock block walls that you can just kind of hand install. So again, that's a lower disturbance type of material that we're proposing on here. And then also if we're looking at this particular section right here, if we're thinking in 3D as the pathway is coming towards you, that pathway is dropping also, right? That's going downhill. So the path is going lower and lower and lower. So as the path goes down, we're going to be stepping the wall to kind of mimic that grade. So it's not going to be sticking up the whole way. It's going to kind of step as that pathway goes lower and lower as it kind of comes towards you, if you can picture that in your mind's eye. So these two particular sections that we cut are at the highest point, which is this bottom one. So this is the most highest wall kind of differential that we'll see. This is cut right at that top switchback. And then the second section that we cut is at the end of the wall. So that one's kind of right where the wall ends. And then we can just kind of go with natural, just grading along the side of it. But yes, Vinny, we do not need a handrail or a guardrail on here. We don't need a handrail because it's not steep enough to require a handrail, and the drop is not high enough to warrant a guardrail to prevent falls.
Josh, how tall is the wall going down? Is it 1.5 feet? Am I reading that right?
This particular one, so I can't tell, Jeanette, you're too close in. So that bottom of wall is just under 291, call it 290 and a half. And the bottom of wall up at the top where you're walking is at 292. So you're around a 2-foot drop right at that particular area. And again, this is the most severe point of the wall. And as that walkway is going downhill, the wall and that height differential will get lower and lower.
Second question I have is on the other side, on the far side of that second pond was where there was really close. It's very close. The existing path is very, very close to the wetland. I think you've shrunken down from 6 to 4 feet width.
Correct.
What about mitigation for runoff, trying to avoid it going into the pond, especially on the side facing the pond?
So on that particular area, we skinnied this down. We do want to pitch water, so we're going to crown the pavement there. So we'll be sending water to the left and to the right. We're going to have a wide shoulder. It's fairly flat in this particular area there. We're not proposing major grade changes. We're really trying to follow the existing topography as much as we can. We just need to excavate in order to get the base and the pavement section into there. But we're intending that water will just flow off to the sides and just slowly infiltrate into the shoulder and the vegetation on either side of it, as it kind of currently kind of happens right now. Just trying to meet and match the existing conditions there. But a 4-foot wide pathway is your kind of minimum ADA requirement width to get people from these 2 points. We do have 2 turnaround areas where we have benches, like I said, over kind of on the shoulders of here. We do have some seating areas, so that will meet the turnaround requirements for an ADA path with a 5-foot kind of diameter circle. So if somebody in a wheelchair goes all the way across there, go to the left counterclockwise around the path, they have a spot that they can turn around and then walk back the way they came. So we were able to skinny that down.
Vinny, questions you have? I mean, do you want to go through the waiver request and work it that way, or what do you think?
I'm not sure what questions have been answered, so it might be more of a waste of time of the commission. The big questions are just the idea of the location of the paths, how much grading, and I think it sounds like the commission is okay with that. We just need to work out the details. My concerns were more the idea of during construction, how are we going to have temporary sediment controls? I didn't see anything with that. And the other thing was they proposed the new grading, and I saw that, but I had a question that didn't seem to get addressed in the first couple of answers in the response that I read this afternoon. I didn't get all the way through it, but if you want to pull up the map of the trails and the grading plan, the biggest concern I had was the way you have the water grading off the trail. It's going into that loop off to the south side on the left in the picture. You've got the grading shown from the pathway to be graded in towards the middle. So it's away from the wetlands, which is generally the thing that we would want to see. But what that does is that directs it all down to the low point. And I'm expecting at the very low point there, down near the wetlands, you're going to have a lot of water that's being directed down I assume there's going to be some kind of a channel along that pathway because it's multiple 100 feet of flow. How are you going to address that crossing at the low point there? And also right at the 4-way intersection, you've got flow coming in from the left in the picture, coming down into that. My fear is that during construction, it's going to come down here and then into that steeply sloped section. So like you said, it's an 8% slope, if not greater currently. It's going to scour everything out and go right down into that wetland or into the pond. So that's the areas that I'm really concerned with, not so much like on the right side where you're just sending it off into the duff layer. That's a good plan.
Yeah, I think for the most part, like I said, we have the erosion control matting on everything that's over a 4:1. So most of this site, most of this area around the wetland pond is going to have the matting. And then we have around the wetland pond, we do have that double. We have the 12-inch wattle that will stay. And then upstream from that, we have the wattle and sediment fence. So you kind of have 3 layers of erosion control barriers between any disturbance that's happening uphill and before it gets a chance to even get to the wetland area. We are also leaving as much existing vegetation as we can between. You can kind of take a look at this and see kind of where our limit of work is. So everything outside of that, all the vegetation will remain. So we do have pockets of existing vegetation that will remain. And it's part of the contractor to, if there are storms, they're required in one of the SWIPs that they're going to be giving you before they start construction. They have to monitor and repair all of, any damage and blowouts that happen during storm events. So it's up to the contractor. It's their responsibility to maintain and make sure the area is stabilized.
Okay. Yeah, and those are things I'm going to be looking at. I'd like to see something more than what's there. I'm not sure that it's been proposed, but the contract is to have the work done. You can't expect a contractor to control the rain and stuff
Correct.
going down an 8% slope. So all that area where the four-way intersection is, that switchback there is all going to flow right down that route. And I was hoping you guys would have in your design some way of addressing it. I mean, if you know it's going to happen, you should put something in your plan.
I believe it has been addressed with our erosion control details.
Okay, you've shown sediment control details at the bottom, and that's just catching it. I'm not sure that provides enough for this site, but if that's, we'll see when the rain happens, I guess.
I have a suggestion.
Hello, Tom Beals.
Yeah, just for, general rain control during construction, regular hay bales could be stuck in, if you're going to have an overnight rain event or what have you, standard, we don't have to go to straw bales or anything like that. If there's 25 or 30 standard hay bales that can be staked in, every 6 or 8 feet, on those slopes, just to control the water flow and not have a washout, I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, it's not impossible. It's just that it's not proposed yet. That's all I'm saying.
Is the commission looking for this proposal to be shown on drawings? In past experiences, particular items such as this that are more kind of field related, as things arise, it's typically handled on site as an as needed basis, where the contractor knows this particular area is prone to being washed out, right? We're concentrating water right here. We will typically talk with the contractor as they're building things to do some of these temporary solutions. I like the hay bale idea, or sorry, straw bale idea, or extra wattles. They keep an extra amount of wattles on site all the time. It's required. It's in our spec, just in case something happens as a blowout. They have extra material to immediately address any erosion in there. But typically what I've seen in past projects is, these particular areas, when they happen and we find out them during the construction process, we can kind of armor particular areas as needed. But it's kind of hard to show them on drawings at this point, when things could potentially move or phasing of the project might change. So I would like to address it. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to that. Our stance is, we have our standard erosion control details, and it outlines where the contractor is responsible for these things, but then also he is responsible just for maintaining the site and preventing erosion as kind of a blanket statement throughout the site. And it's kind of, don't want to say it's up to the contractor to do that, but it's his responsibility to maintain the site.
Josh, can you explain a little bit to the commission and their agent about the technical specifications associated with this public bid process and project, and that there is going to be more than simply a drawing with a couple of lines that say ES on it, and there is actual technical specifications behind this?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, we're going to have a full set of technical design specs. So it'll outline all of the erosion control materials. It outlines what we look for, what they're going to be. We have this is kind of our typical kind of spec section. So this will go out to bid. This is a public bid process. So again, addressing one of Vinny's earlier comments about what if the contractor walks away. Well, part of the bidding process, there's the bond posted by the contractor. So if he walks away, he loses that money. The town has funds available to then go out, find another contractor to come, and you stabilize the area so that they're not going to just leave you kind of high and dry, so to speak. But that's kind of just all part of the general bidding process. But we do have environmental protection, we have erosion control, we have kind of documentations that the contractor is going to need to follow and follow up with. It includes contacting the commission. You know, I would imagine part of your standard boilerplate of order of conditions that the commission sends out, you're going to want to see where the erosion control is going to be installed, limits of grading, limits of work, trees that may or may not be cut down. There's a whole list of things that's going to happen and documents that will be provided to the commission prior to the contractor even getting a shovel into the ground. So we have all of those. They're not required by the commission to provide, but we are working through those, and that's just part of the bidding process. I hope that answers that in a nutshell, Scott.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, no,
Who's
that's
going to manage the contractor? You guys, or is that done by another party?
So
go ahead.
The construction project will be publicly bid out by us, Town of Northborough. We have engaged Weston and Sampson as our construction site representatives. They'll be out there periodically doing inspections, as I will be. I know Vinny will be popping by, and I believe we're going to have a couple dozen up to 100 seniors out there looking out the parking lot constantly at the construction project. But Weston and Sampson is responsible for submittal reviews, construction observation oversight, reporting, and pay rec reviews. So there's a lot of eyes on this project.
Yep, correct. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Yeah, all the submittals will come through me. I will review them, compare them to the specifications that we are writing, and then compare any work that's phased in their work plan. We'll see how that matches up with the order conditions and any other specific items that the commission wants to put into that. So yes, Weston and Sampson will be on site. There'll be regularly scheduled meetings on site, virtual. So like Scott said, we're involved, we're around, we're reviewing, and we're looking at everything.
Vinny, how are you feeling about this?
it sounds like he's doing work and he's gotten some stuff completed. I just don't know what's completed enough, or if the commission is okay with what they're submitting. I haven't seen the revised plans. They're going to come soon, I think. I got a response to comments letter, and I got kind of halfway through a 50-page document, but I didn't quite make it. So I think we can work through anything. I don't see any major issues besides the drainage and how to deal with that flow when it rains. Because what the comment was is when the contractor's out there, he sees where problems arise. I want to try to get it before that situation occurs, so that I don't have to deal with wetlands that are impacted or the pond that's slushy or sludgy. But it's up to the commission on how they want to proceed.
Okay. I mean, my personal feeling is that I feel like that there's questions to be answered still. I mean, we received a big document late in the day of the meeting that hasn't been reviewed yet. We need a plan that's updated, and we're getting, the answers are, well, we'll deal with it on site. We'll deal with it when it comes up, which doesn't sit well with me based on previous experiences with the contractors in the town of Northborough. That's my own personal.
Was there a problem on one of the past public works projects, Mr. Chairman?
You are 100% with us. So you're good with us. It's
right.
It's third party sometimes. Scott, we can't. Yeah.
I understand. One of the challenges we have on public procurement is that there's a line somewhere between tying a contractor's hands too much and costing undue expenses to the residents, and giving them way too much rope. So what Vinny said is a hill washes out into the wetland. And I think that's, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's where we're trying to identify where that line lays.
Correct. All right, any questions from, let me see if we got any public comments here. Do we have any?
I guess last one from me too, just
Go
real
ahead,
quick.
go ahead, Justin.
Disturbance is probably over an acre for this project, right? Do they need to file NIPT's NOI and do a SWIP through the EPA?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we do.
Okay. So we've got a little bit of coverage there, Vinny, with the SWIP document and the EPA, at least the NIPT's NOI for construction too, that the contractor will have to abide by.
I'd be happy to run the 90% design drawings before they go out to bid past our conservation agent for a last set of eyes, if he's willing to, if that helps the commission feel a little more comfortable in the project moving forward.
I got some public hands being raised. Before I go to them, any other commissioners' comments about moving forward? Nothing. Okay. Let's see what we have. I've got Tom Reardon's got his hand up. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Chairman. I strongly support this accessible trail.
Oh, excuse me. Before you, could you identify yourself and?
Sorry, Tom Reardon, 7 Sunset Drive, Northborough.
Thank you.
So I'm very much in favor of the development of these accessible trails near the senior center. I did want to clarify this section, which is noted as not being in conformity with the ADA guidelines. But my understanding is that a slope up to 5% is considered a walkway, and between 5% and 8% is considered a ramp. So the slope of this section would conform, but you could also bring it in complete conformity if you did put railings on either side of that section. The non-conformity is not in terms of the slope of the path. It's the lack of guardrails on either side. And the other concern I have is that we've designed to ADA standards, which are a civil rights law that is not enforced by the building officials in Massachusetts. We have to conform to the Architectural Access Board guidelines, which is 521 CMR. And not all of the ADA guidelines and the AAB guidelines are consistent with each other. One of which is ADA ramp widths are 3 feet wide and AAB are 4 feet wide. So if the board were to consider widening the sidewalk to 4 feet and put guardrails, then that section would be fully compliant with both the AAB and the ADA. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any responses to Mr. Reardon?
I agree. He's correct. It's non-compliant with AAB based on the lack of handrails, not the slope. Up to 8.3% is allowed as a ramp, which is over the 5%. So Tom's accurate for sure.
Yes, I agree. There are certain landings, just to expand upon that. Every 30 feet, you need to have a level landing. So it's a little more involved than just adding some handrails along this section. We'd have to look at the lengths and the runs of it and provide level landing areas. So that would flatten out certain areas, potentially increase the amount of disturbance that would be in this area just to provide some wider areas. And then the handrails themselves need 4-foot deep footings to provide the lateral forces that are required just for foundations. So again, it's more and more disturbance that's happening in this area versus paving an asphalt walkway in there. But Tom is correct.
Already the items that Tom brought up a risk to funding or to the use of the ADA compliant terminology? Any risk involved?
We absolutely cannot afford handrails on, what is that, an over 100-foot length of walkway. Handrails are 150 a linear foot on either side, so 300 a foot. There's absolutely no way the project could handle that.
Correct, yes. The trail layout system is ADA compliant. If we have that sign right at that T intersection that says, from here on is not compliant, or the ADA path goes this way, we have a directional arrow to show where places are. It is a full looping system, or you can get to a place and you have an opportunity to turn around and go back the way you came. So I don't expect this to have an issue with funding. It meets the MAAB requirements for accessibility.
Right, thanks, Josh. Okay, any more questions, comments by the commission? All right. In general, I think Todd brought up earlier too, is that this is a good project that I think the commission certainly supports, certainly supports the concept of it. I think our concerns are around, obviously, what the commission exists for, minimizing any threats into the resource areas there. It's a very sensitive area. It's a place where it's hard to work around. There's not some easy bailouts. I'd like to see it move ahead. I just want to make sure that we're moving ahead, with eyes wide open on that one. Any last comments, Vinny? You're muted.
Nothing new.
Okay. Are you concerned if we move ahead with this one, or we want?
I will do whatever the commission wants. I can draft an order of conditions and let it go. I'm not. It's your decision on how you want to proceed. If it is going to be more work during construction, then that's fine. They've got supervision from Weston and Sampson. The town's going to be paying for it, so they're going to be watching it. We could make it work however they do it.
Okay. What's the timeline for this, Scott? When would you want to go ahead and, I know you got to go through the process, and what do you think?
Well, our goal was to bid it out as soon as possible. So if we were to close today and go through the appeal process, and by August 1 we have the order, we could bid this out in September and hopefully start digging in the fall when we're less likely to get horrific storm events, and at least get things prepped and base coated this year. That would be my goal. If our bids come in ugly and the prices are high, then we wait till the winter and bid it out over the winter when contractors are hungry. If we were to lose a month at this point, if we were to be sitting here in August, we wouldn't be bidding it until late September, October. I wouldn't bother. I'd bid it out, and right after the holidays, get aggressive prices from the contractors in the wintertime, and then do it next year. So I guess either you put the foot to the pedal, or you just hit the pause button and wait.
All right.
Just to add in, fall seeding is a preferred installation of our seed mixes. You have a better chance of germination and the seed taking. Generally, temperatures are cooler. It's wetter. I mean, it's been pretty wet now. So just kind of tacking on to Scott. If everything goes correctly and we can bid this out this fall and they can get most of it done, and the
Spring is a
seeding
good
and
time to
erosion
plant
go
too,
down.
Josh. You know that? Spring is a good time to plant too.
It is.
It is.
What's the
Okay,
latest date for fall planting? We usually go the October 15th date for fall planting. So it should be stabilized and growing by October 15th. That's what EPA requires under the SWIP program. So I don't know that that's going to happen if you start construction.
That won't happen.
Okay.
All right. I think the options here are, if we close the hearing, then we vote, or we don't close the hearing and continue to August and use that time to get any questions, any final questions wrapped up, the waivers reviewed and approved, understood. I think those are the two options here. So
at this point, there's no hurry then, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect. There's no need to rush through it. If we wanted to continue the hearing until August, that's fine. So Vinny can iron out the conditions. If you want to close the hearing and vote on the conditions in August, that's okay too. I don't see anything getting done this season all that successfully.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Vinny, what do you think about continuing for a month, and getting everything wrapped up? That makes me a
That's
little bit-
my preference. Just we'll have everything done. We'll have it nailed down. We'll be able to do it and go through it like you initially said at the beginning of the meeting. Just kind of go through and say, okay, this has been checked. This is done. We've addressed that. Right now, I can't confirm that everything is done. It could be. Everything could be perfect right now, but I haven't gotten the plans. The revised plans haven't been submitted yet.
I think that's where I'm most uneasy here, the same spot. So,
They've been working diligently toward this. The comments came in, midday Thursday. So it's been a trying to get the comment response letter primarily first. So I'm confident they'll be able to address all the comments of the agent before the August meeting.
Yep, and Vinny, the plans are included in the attachment. They're just attachment A. They're the first attachment right after that letter. They start on page.
Oh, okay. I
7.
didn't get that far.
Yep. If for some reason they're not loading, let me know. I can send you a separate PDF, but they're all part of that. Everything is in that package. So it's in
Okay,
one place.
good.
Thank you, Megan. We saw that.
okay. So we're looking at continuing to the August meeting. Let's see how the commission feels about that. Is there a motion?
I move that we move the meeting to August and straighten
Continue.
out all these entanglements.
Second.
That's seconded by, was that Justin?
It was Todd.
Todd. A lot of people throwing voices today. Okay. Voting to continue the meeting to August 14th. Roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yeah.
Diane Gildner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Tom Beals.
Yes,
I vote yes.
Just to
Okay.
jump in, Greg,
Yes.
members, they're pretty sure you're going to be able to make it for the August 14th. No vacation issues.
I'll be there.
Wouldn't miss.
there.
All right. As long as we got a quorum, that's what we're looking for. All right. So August 14th, I would certainly hope that's the last meeting, get this thing wrapped up and move ahead. It's a good project. I'll make sure we have no loose ends.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clean up. All right. Continued. 78, I'm sorry, 311 Crawford Street. That's being continued, Vinny, correct?
Yes, I got an email this afternoon and they requested a continuance.
Okay. I visited a couple of the abutters today on that. The ones across the street from the existing driveway. They have no history of water into their property right now. FYI.
Okay.
All right. I think we're at 78 West Main Street then, correct?
Nope, we have to
Yes.
motion to continue the public hearing.
Thank you. Thank you. We need a motion to continue 311 Crawford Street.
So moved.
So
Second.
second,
by Tom Beals. Roll call. Tom Beals,
yes,
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gildner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. 311 is continued. All right, now we're at 78, correct, Benny?
Yes,
All right, let's see, who do we have in the audience for that?
Waterman, probably.
I see Brian Waterman. Brian Waterman, I'm bringing you in as a panelist. Oh. Okay, Brian should be there momentarily. Carolyn Burke coming in. I believe that's it at this point.
Can everyone hear me?
I can hear somebody.
Brian,
Brian Waterman.
Is that Brian Waterman I'm hearing?
I am Brian Waterman.
Okay, so your voice, no visibility today, Brian, just the voice, correct?
No, I'm trying to get this. There we go.
There you go. And we got Carolyn Burke here too.
Yes. She's a registered landscape architect with our office.
She's joining us. Carolyn, can you hear us?
Several on the agenda.
Yes, I hear you. Hello.
I think 4 more meetings ahead of us, so I think.
Yep. We moved some of the simpler ones to the top of the agenda, Brian. So.
Okay, good.
supposedly.
What, you mean this isn't simple?
Well, you're involved in it, right?
Ouch.
No, that's a compliment. That's a.
Oh, okay.
All right, Vinny, where we are, what's going on here with 78 Main? I know that you had a site visit this week. We've had some discussions with them. We have DEP numbers.
Yes, all the above are correct. They've been very active trying to get things addressed. I had initial comments. They then got subsequent comments from DEP that made some restrictions that caused some changes, and they submitted a package. I think it was today also. You submitted this morning?
Correct. Yes, Vinny. Yeah.
Yeah, partly why I didn't get everything done on the prior project. A lot of last minute submittals today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to walk us through this? This is the continued public hearing, but we didn't really have a presentation at the last one, did we?
No, yeah, due to the, getting the review comments and trying to pull everything together, we didn't want to just throw something, piecemeal together and try to get it going. But we've been working through the review letter. We did finally get DEP review comments last Wednesday. So we haven't had much time to work on that. And unfortunately, I was out 2 days last week. But we did submit a response to Vincent's review letter today. Obviously, he's not had a chance to go through it. We submitted updated plans. Part of those were revised due to some of Vincent's review comments, and others due to DEP. The main sticking point with DEP is they want no infiltration basins within 50 feet of a wetland. So the rain garden qualifies as infiltration basins. So we called the reviewer, Kim Roth, after we received that comment to explain to her that this area is paved within 4 feet of the wetland, and removing the pavement and restoring it with a rain garden, which removes TSS and adds infiltration. Whether it's it's a redevelopment site, we're meeting to a maximum extent practical and beyond, because there are no stormwater infiltration controls on this site to begin with. It's historically disturbed. The house was constructed in the 1900s. And she said, well, I understand your frustration, but we want anything infiltration has to be more than 50 feet away from the wetland. And I said, and one of her comments, the second comment, was that you're only 1.5 feet above estimated groundwater with the bottom of the rain garden, and can you make it 2 feet? And we said, well, yes, we can adjust it to 2 feet, but you just said we can't have the infiltration basin. So the bottom line was, she said, well, you can't take any credit and we don't want infiltration within 50 feet. So we had the discussion, well, if we remove the rain garden, we take no credit for infiltration or TSS removal. I said, what are our options? Do you want a dry basin or a swale? And she said, well, keep it as riverfront restoration and mitigation. I said, well, yes, we're taking the 1,600 square feet roughly pavement out, and we're revegetating it with native vegetation. She said, well, that's fine. You just can't take credit for infiltration. So what we did is we kept the form of the rain garden in this latest change. Vincent and I had a discussion last week briefly about trying to keep some kind of a berm there so that any runoff or discharge is detained a bit. So when we looked at it, we just took the TSS and infiltration out of our stormwater report. So we're taking no credit for that. But we're keeping the depression there that's 6 or 8 inches deep. We have a 4-bay for any of the overflow for the stormwater system, the Barracuda stormwater unit. And our discussion with her was, well, if we can capture the 80% of runoff in the parking lot by adding another deep sump-hooded catch basin, maintaining the hydrodynamic chamber, would they be fine with that? She said, yes, that would make more sense. So that's the revision we've done. Everyone wants a rain garden there. It makes absolute sense to put one there instead of pavement and fill. It's not called a rain garden. It's called a riverfront restoration area. It has the same design parameters, but officially under DEP, we cannot take any credit for TSS removal or infiltration in it. If you look at their volume 2 of the stormwater manual, they talk about, vegetated dry basins or wet swales or wet basins. So this is kind of a hybrid, if you will, where it's going to be dry, 90% of the time, except when we do have stormwater runoff that's not captured by the catch basins, which will be, majority of the system now. Or if there's an overflow from the infiltration system, which only happens at the 100-year storm event. Yeah, that's, there we go. Thank you, Vincent. And this is the planting plan for it. So water will still go into this, we have a settling 4-bay there for any discharge that comes out of the pipes. And then it goes through a riprap channel into the restoration basin, if you will. And then there's a design point off to the northwest there where it would just trickle over through the vegetation off to the left. Yeah, over to the left. It's easier to see on the grading plane, but your hand was just there, Vincent. So we have a little 4-bay. So that's the riverfront restoration area. So it's essentially still the rain garden. ZBA wanted a rain garden. They want a fence along it, which you see there for snow storage protection between the end of the pavement. So this has incorporated ZBA comments as well, as far as some of their comments on fencing and snow storage and de-icing and things like that. So this plan has been updated significantly just to meet those. So now you can see we've added a second deep sump-hooded catch basin off to the left there, to the left. Yep, thank you, Vinny. That goes into the Barracuda Hydroworks stormwater treatment unit. So both catch basins would go into there, and then the overflow goes down to that riprap splash pad. And then we've also added increased the 2-foot wide stone strip and extended that along the entire edge of the pavement. And that's 2 foot wide, 2 foot deep with a filter fabric. And we've updated the stormwater management report, which was sent to Vinny. Obviously, he hasn't had time to review that extensive document, but so we've addressed, and the stormwater infiltration system there in the middle of the parking lot, Vincent, if you can pan that, that was rotated so that it's completely out of the 50-foot, or that's the 35. I think that's, yeah, part of that's still in the 50. We'll have to slide it. I thought that was done, but I guess we'll have to slide that farther up. Even though we're meeting the separation to groundwater, we did run a groundwater mounting analysis that's attached in the stormwater report showing that we're not impacting the groundwater. So we'll have to slide that system up a little more to make the 50 feet. I thought that was in today's plan, but I guess not. So I'm sorry
Yeah, you
about
are,
that.
because this is well, that's a 35.
That's a
not
35, yeah. Yeah. We'll get that adjusted. Vinny, do you have the graph that exhibit A that we sent today?
I do.
So Vincent
Where would you
had
like me to go?
had requested kind of a breakdown of the disturbed 25 and 35 that's existing now. Can you just scroll down to the aerial exhibit part on there? So you can see the existing pavement runs down very, like I said, it's within 4 feet of wetland flag, in between 4 and 5 off to the northwest corner. And generally it's anywhere from 6 to 12 at the maximum. So that pavement is what's coming out. What's outlined in yellow is to be removed from the site. And so that is the majority. You can see the 25 disturb and 35 no disturb. It's already historically, been altered. Like I said, the original house was built in 1900. I'm not sure when all the pavement extended down to that area, but at least in the 60s and 70s. So you can see the existing house takes up most of the 25 and 35. So that area of pavement is to be removed. The building, let's see, can you scroll out just a little bit, Vincent, please?
Maybe.
Okay, yeah, off to the left here, we have the, so
This
the
gives us
bottom
square
one,
footage.
yeah. So the bottom one shows the proposed conditions. And so you can see the building addition, the north that's the westerly building addition. So that's going into area which does not have pavement now, but is historically disturbed with fill and an old cesspool. The north building addition is actually extended into what is pavement now. So, and then the yellow and green is what you can see there is areas that were revegetating upon removal of the pavement. So we would be restoring the majority of the 25 to 35 foot no disturb in that area. And then if you zoom all the way out, we broke down in a table up there, breaking down, as you had requested, the difference between the existing disturbed site, which you can see in this, is pretty clear in that left hand, how much of the site is really disturbed now. And I know you've been out there. I think Chairman Young, you've been out there, and
couple times,
Diane,
yeah.
I believe so. So we do have the proposed addition in the north falls within area that's already paved now. The westerly building, yes, it does extend. The closest corner is, I believe, 11 feet from the wetland flag too. If you go down to the bottom one, you might be able to see it in there. We can do it on the design plan, but excuse me. Yeah, right there. The north building is no closer than existing now. So with the waiver we had asked for is, the majority of the work in the 25 and 35 is actually to remove pavement and restore things. So it's not an impact, it's an improvement. The one area is the corner of that building right there that is within the 25 to 35, but it's an extension. I believe Tom Reardon is the architect. I don't know if he's still in attendance, but part of this was, given the historic nature of the building and meeting roof lines and, making an addition work to get families in here. I think that's part of why it's extended as it is, but it would still be, a minimum of, I think, 10 or 11 feet from the wetland. And we'd be adding, can you go back to the planting plan for 1 second, please, Vincent? If you still have that open. It was one of the earlier, yeah, right there. Yep. So you can see where the building addition corner is. We're
North or
adding,
west?
yep, right off of
Awesome.
that. We're adding in new and additional shrub and tree plantings. Additionally, this area between the wetland and the pavement and the back of the building has numerous invasive species. I know Vincent made a comment, can we move the erosion control barrier farther from the wetland? Part of the reason of keeping it that close is we want to be able to access that strip of invasives between the pavement and the lawn and the wetland to remove them and then get these new native plantings put in. We have no direct impact to the wetland. It is close, but we kind of need to work that close to get rid of the invasives and then replant additional shrubs and trees along that. So you'll be increasing a denser wooded shrub buffer directly adjacent to the wetland. And then the area between the former rain garden gets the conservation seed mix and then also the plantings as specified. And these are species that, are tolerable of periodic inundation and will also provide a filtering effect before any discharge of stormwater. So it's still essentially the same design. It's kind of a hybrid system just based on our conversation with DEP and what we're trying to accomplish and trying to keep everyone happy on all fronts.
Great. Well, that sounds good.
So
Brian, are you looking for a continuation? Is that what I'm reading into the minutes here?
well, I think there's no way around it. Just, Vincent hasn't had a chance to look at our reply letter or the revised plans, and we sent a couple of things late, that we caught. We added we added some stockpile areas and a temporary sediment basin. So yeah, I think we're going to have to continue. We just wanted to get this open, get your initial thoughts or feedback if you want to take the time now, or if you all want to digest it and then, touch base in August. We're open to whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, let's see if what the commission has for comments here, any brief comments. So Brian, in general here, you're looking to, the trade-off is replacing a lot of impervious surface with natural environments in return for encroaching into the do not build zone.
Correct, which has already been encroached on historically, but we're improving the area between that encroachment will be improved on by removing the invasive species and adding an additional layer of shrubs and trees in that particular corner. And then I think the stuff in the back is pretty self-explanatory with getting rid of that, pavement that's as close as 4 to 10 feet from the wetlands and restoring it.
And you're not into the wetlands in that encroachment area. You're just inside the.
No, the
25.
wetland line is right. Yeah, that dashed line right there. Yeah.
Any comments by the commission? Questions for Brian?
I had a couple questions.
Sure, Dan.
What's the size of the reclamation area compared to the size of the area you're going to disturb?
Overall, I believe our number is, we're removing 1,600 square feet of pavement. But with adding, there's some new pavement that's up towards the outer edge of the, up at the very top of the driveway, Vincent. Up in this area, that expands. So that is actually that's the buffer zone. The entire site's in the buffer zone. So the net reduction overall is 582 square feet of impervious. So if you add in the building that's added, the addition there, with the upper parking area, the net reduction is still 582 square feet of impervious on the entire site.
Is that on the exhibit that you gave me?
Yes, that's on that exhibit. Yeah. I think it's up in the table. Vincent, I believe it's up in the table fully explained. And it's in the it's further outlined in our reply letter. Like I said, in there you can see that it's the majority of the 25 to 35 gets restored. We get rid of the pavement. We're adding the entire roof is infiltrated. That's the old roof and the new roof. Where you have no stormwater controls on the site ever. Everything's just sheet flow down the hill right towards the wetland. So yes, the net benefit of infiltrating, restoring the buffer, that's what we're asking for, is a waiver to allow that one addition to be
Well, Vinny, on that thing, what is that? Right at the bottom, it says in bigger letters, 963 square feet. What is that number?
I can't, it's minimized on my
It says within the whole site. What is this?
reduction within the 0 to 25, net impervious reduction within the 0 to 95.
Net impervious reduction within the whole site is the 582 is what he said.
Right.
And then actually, if I can, the net impervious reduction within the 0 to 25 and the 25 to 35 foot is 963.
Oh, okay, good. My other quick question, what invasives are in that area that you're trying to get rid of? How are you going to get rid of them?
Garlic mustard, Asiatic bittersweet, reed canary grass. Oh boy, I've got it here. I think there were 6 of them. Multiflora rose. Where did I put that?
How are you getting rid of them?
They'll be cut and pulled. And then will be, most of that stuff can be cut and pulled. If they need to do a spray, they would have to go through a licensed applicator and follow up with you guys. Most of the stuff can be cut and pulled, the garlic mustard, and then you'll be placing new soil and new vegetation to outcompete them.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, the bittersweet, there's bittersweet growing up some of the trees that's killed the trees, but they're either in the wetland or off our property. So some of the bittersweet, we have no control over. We're going to do the best we can on the stuff we can reach on site between the wetland and our work area. They're unfortunately the bittersweets climbing in the trees and in between Dunkin' Donuts, mainly on the Dunkin' Donuts side or the back side of the site, but it's into the like the tree that you kind of see in the aerial photo there above wetland flag 8, Vincent.
Gotta give
Yeah,
me more
right above your
direction
hand
than
there.
that.
Yeah, there's some bittersweet up in those trees. A couple of them are already dead. It made me sense in the future to cut that tree to like, 10 or 12 foot height. Leave that part as a, bird nesting or habitat and get rid of the top part. One, it takes away a safety hazard, and two, you get rid of the bittersweet. But that would be probably something for future maintenance or a separate filing.
Yes, that would be.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission? Comments?
I have a question.
Sure, Diane.
When you're going into the driveway, is the water from the street funneled down that anyway, or is there drains there and so it will go off?
No, there is a high point, a bump there, so you have to kind of drive up into this driveway before it drops down. The street drainage stays out on the street.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. See if we need public questions and any public hands out. See any hands up? No. Okay. All right. So I think we're looking to continue this video in August. So you can get a chance to review the new plan and the inputs.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can
All right.
certainly, if Vincent has some other questions or something that falls out from our review letter, then we can certainly work on that between now and the August meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you submitted a waiver list with the justification for the commission?
Yeah, that was in the initial NOI cover letter. And I think we addressed that additionally in the review letter, but.
Okay. Yeah.
When
And
is
the
the
commission-
August? Oh, when is the August
14th.
meeting?
August 14th.
14th, thank you.
And just so we're not running down a path that doesn't end, the commission seems supportive of the idea of the offset for all the impervious, all the infiltration from the building and all the other areas offsets the alteration into the 25 and 35-foot zones. I just want to confirm that.
Seems like a net benefit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Dan. I mean, it seems like a lot of work's been done on Brian's part to make it a benefit here.
Excellent.
Trying.
Yep, I agree.
Good.
All right, we need a motion to continue to August 14th for 78 West Main Street.
I make a motion to continue to the August 14th meeting for 78 West Main Street.
Thanks, Tom. Seconded by Diane. Roll call. Tom Beals.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Feel better, Tom.
Yeah, thanks.
Good night.
Greg, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to step out right now.
Okay. All right. No worries.
All right.
No worries.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you.
All right. You
Thanks,
too,
Tom.
Tom.
See you, Tom.
Okay. We have an RDA for 3, 7, and 11 Reservoir Street. And we have some updates to that too, I believe, Vinny, right?
Yep. There'll be Bob Parente, who's probably be there, and I think it's James Romeo might
Okay,
be.
Bob Parente, I've got. I don't see a James Romeo. No, I do not see a James Romeo.
Okay, well, I think Bob can swing it. I'm sure he can.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Cannot see you. We can hear you.
Okay. Bob Parente on behalf of James Romeo, who is the personal representative for the land on Reservoir Street.
Okay, great.
And Ben, can you pull that plan up or?
I am getting there. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I was making sure I didn't have to.
Oh, Vinny's an expert at this stuff now.
Yep, I know.
It's kind of scary.
Right? That's it.
There
Okay.
we go.
Can we
So
make that a little
this-
bit, get a little closer maybe?
I can. I'm having trouble with the
Zoom?
Zoom screen is kind of impacting my access to the zoom in. There it goes. All right. So the property corner is right in here. In Reservoir
Correct.
Street.
Yep. So there's a stone wall on the west side of the property. And originally I submitted a plan that showed a proposed driveway on lot 2, which is right about where Vinny has the cursor there. So the original plan showed a little bit of disturbance in the riverfront area, which is why I wanted to have get the wetlands flagged and have the commission look at it. But I met about two weeks ago. I met with Vinny, and before Fred left, Fred and Laurie. And Fred asked me to try to present a driveway for the 3 lots together, which it might be more economical anyhow, but it also is going to allow me to create an area where I can recharge in some of the stormwater, right where Vin has the cursor there. So there's a natural low area there, which is about 2 feet lower than Reservoir Street. So once I get the common driveway designed, now that I've kind of shown the commission this plan, and I'm confident that we won't have to work in either area, the riverfront or the wetlands area. I'm going to try to do some soil testing out in August to try to get updated perk tests. I guess the Romeos had perked this land unofficially years ago, but I don't have a record of it, and the current Board of Health has never been on the site. So we will be trying to find the best spots to perk the land, probably just to the north of the Lot 1 labeling.
Right here.
Yep, probably. Yep, the house is probably going to go in that area, as that's about the flattest area. And then on Lot 2, the house will go further back. So I do have a proposed common driveway that it's kind of a faint blue line with some 5-foot contours. I was trying to make sure I could make the grading work for the common driveway. Yeah, you can see it. Yep. So that's basically 22 feet wide. So the easement would probably be a little bit wide, the common driveway easement. And I think it's pretty much it's almost 700 feet until I get to back of Lot 3, where there's a point number 69. And the only really potential area is right through where the existing lot line is. So I'm probably going to be doing an A&R plan to change the lot line so that I can create a house area between the 440 and the 430 contour, which is still maybe 8 feet across the front of the house. But that's if they really want to build a house there, that's where they're going to have to put it. And then Vin's got the cursor down near the 400 contour line, which is just outside the 200 foot. It gets a little bit flatter down there, and it's I think we're going to have to try to do soil tests for the proposed septic system for Lot 3. So right now, I'm not dealing with the existing house, which is Lot 4. I think I included that on there, Ben, right? Yep.
It's in the
Yep,
picture,
so
but it's not in the application.
So the existing farmhouse is on Lot 4, and I'm not dealing with that at this point. There it is right there. Yep. With the brook in back of it. So I'm not exactly sure what their thoughts are right now on that. I know it's in a little disrepair, but they'll have to figure that out further down the road. So fortunately, I will be coming to the commission, I think, because of the 1 acre of disturbance, Vinny, is that
Yes,
in the
under
bylaw?
line
In the
disturbance,
bylaw.
yes. Yep.
So I will be filing with the planning board and the commission. Once I get the stormwater, once I finalize the driveway a little bit more. and get some soil testing. So maybe August, but probably more likely September.
So you don't need an RDA at this point in time because you're outside the jurisdiction of the.
Correct. Now that we, the town recommended one driveway, the powers that be. I think that it is probably a better layout. I didn't think I could get the grading to work, but I'm at 9%, so all the way through, so. Now it'll become more what the fire chief needs for turnaround, I guess, and the planning board comments and all that.
So Vinny, the RDA will be withdrawn and there will be a land disturbance permit coming in front of us at some point in time.
Correct.
Yes, that's probably the easiest way to go about it. For Bob, you can do it at the public hearing. Just say that you're going to withdraw the RDA.
Okay.
And just send an email saying that, or a letter. Emails are
Okay.
easier, but just say that you're going to withdraw that.
Withdraw the request for the RDA. Okay, I can send that email over tomorrow, and you can put me on record for that, I guess. And then I will keep moving forward with the design and the soil testing, and I'll be back with more definitive plans.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Should we just close the hearing then?
We can, if maybe want to hear if there are any comments from the members,
can.
if there's something I might be missing.
Any questions from the commission? I got a raised hand here, but let's go to the commission first. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, let's see. I've got Clint Walton. I'm going to. Okay, Clint. All right, you can, Mr. Walton, you can speak, please.
Yep. This is Clint Walton of 33 Reservoir Street. I was just wondering what the protocol is on notifications. I didn't receive any notification on this until about 20 minutes ago from another neighbor. I just want to make sure I'm on the list for any information going forward.
Why are you saying that too?
The notification requirement is any abutters within 100 feet. So I'm not sure that 33 is within 100 feet of the corner here that I'm pointing to. He had a list of all the certified list of abutters submitted to, or requests submitted to the assessor's office. And it appeared that he made notice to all the people that were noted and required to be noticed. So you might just be 101 feet away. So that would kind of pull you out.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that little of a distance. I'm probably close to 100, but probably over.
Right.
That answer your question, Clint?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've got another couple of hands up here. I've got a Michael and Tracy Horgan. Okay.
They are direct abutters.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Can hear you clearly, yes.
Great, this is Michael Horgan, and my wife Tracy is with me. We're at 17 Reservoir Street. We're direct abutters to this parcel. I have a few comments just to start. So the first thing is also on notification. I don't know what the legal requirements are, but we did not have our first attempt to be notified of this particular hearing until July 5th, which was last Wednesday. So that was just 5 days ago. And I would assume that the notice should be sent earlier than that. It was a pretty quick turnaround time. So that's the first comment or question I have on that. The second thing is, we saw the original plans. We did get them from the conservation commissioner in town when we contacted him, and we looked at that ourselves, and two of our neighbors looked at that as well. And we didn't even realize that there was a driveway on those plans. It was really difficult to even see what was proposed until we zoomed way in. I don't know. I would imagine that these plans should be a little bit more evident in what sort of the proposed area of disturbance is going to be and what's actually being written, because we didn't realize until just this past weekend that, oh yeah, there's where the driveway disturbance was. But the last note on this too is that that this is the bottom of what's called Bartlett Hill, and we have a lot of runoff. If you contact any of the residents up on this side of Reservoir Street, we have not only surface runoff, but a lot of water that just perks up from the ground. Today is a perfect example, but it also happens in an even moderate rainfall as well as in the spring. And we have it in our yard. I know our neighbors on the other side of us have the same issue where water just comes up from the ground at random places for weeks or sometimes months on end. And the same happens on this land as well. So whatever is considered, being done with this land, really, it flows down a very steep. You can see the topo lines. It flows down to a very steep grade down into the wetlands, and that water that comes off of the hill and comes up through the hill from underground is going to be really difficult to manage in terms of the impacts on the wetlands and also the impacts on the street and runoff. I'm a little surprised to see this change in driveway. We didn't see these plans before the meeting. I really hope that we could have seen this before this. I know this is not, I guess, an official hearing at this point, but just a quick note where this driveway goes into the road. If you, it may not be a Conservation Commission matter, but if you go to that point on Reservoir Street, it's basically, they've just put that driveway on a blind corner. It's a very dangerous corner. Cars come down that street very fast, and they have no visibility to that driveway as it's right there until they're right on top of it. So there are safety concerns, which I know isn't really this board's matter, but certainly that's going to be an issue that has to be addressed. It just takes a quick drive up the street and you'll see where that would be placed. So those are the few things. I guess my most pressing is, what is the notice? What is the requirement to notify abutters? Again, 5 days just was way too short for us, given the summer travel plans and so forth. Thanks.
Yeah, well, he sent a notice out in the timely manner. I think it was 7 days in advance, and a 5-day notice is the minimum required under the regulation.
Just for the record, Ben, I think I mailed everything on June 26th, so I can't really,
right.
The US mail these days is not that quick. So
I know,
unfortunately.
No, and that makes sense. But if I contact if I pay a bill and I say the check's in the mail, that never seems to cut it. So something has to be sent out a little earlier. And one last note I forgot about too. We have a neighbor, another neighbor that is very interested in this property. She unfortunately had a meeting at 8 o'clock. She needed to drop off, and so is email a form of official form of comment on this particular project, or how should she communicate her thoughts and concerns to this project?
I think my email is on the application form. So there will be another submission to both the planning board and the Conservation Commission. And the plans will be definitive. This was just the concept of where I think the town was asking me to locate the driveway, and there is some vegetation along your frontage that's probably going to have to get cut. That's not on your land, but there'll be plenty of site distance. I can pretty much guarantee it, but that's a planning board issue, and I'll address it with them.
Just one more note, Robert. I'm sorry. This is Tracy Horgan, and we as abutters, and I'm sure that there's no requirement for you to do so, but as abutters, it would certainly make the process a little bit more transparent for us if some of these things were communicated to us directly and in a timely manner. We didn't have to go through Vinny and ask him questions, and that way we could present our concerns to you before you're up in front of a board in a public meeting, and we could try and resolve any concerns and issues in advance. So I just want to put that out there, that we are all very willing to discuss what you're doing. We know that this development's going to happen, but we want it to happen in a way that's going to have the least negative impact on the wetlands and be safe for the traffic on the street and so forth. So any opportunity that you take to discuss with us abutters would be greatly appreciated.
Sure, if you can send me your email, I'll keep you up to date on everything we do.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Great. Okay, let's see. I've got Clint Walton. You've got your hand up. So you have another question, or did you not just take your?
Sorry, that was still left on.
Okay, okay,
All
fine.
set.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I think I've got one more hand up here. Santo. That's all it says. So
Are you there?
I am here.
Okay, this is Santo Anzer, Director Butter at 25 Reservoir.
Mhm.
My concerns are actually threefold. One, I had sent an email requesting some more information on it, on the project. I got no reply from the submitting party. So I really didn't have a lot of information to talk about, but my concern is the amount of water we have on the hill and an impermeable driveway going relatively close to where my septic system is. Right now, I'm flooding my neighbor out during these storms. The water's running off this hill and literally running right through their house. So, I mean, this hill has a tremendous amount of water on it. I think you just heard that from Tracy. There's some plum runs which creates a major issue all winter long. That road from Cliff's driveway to the corner of Crawford is solid ice all winter. Adding another driveway at that grade without a way to deal with that water, which I'm sure at some point he'll have to figure that out. The three driveways that are presently there, mine, Cliff's, and Tracy's, all run right into the road. And we, like I said, we have a sheet of ice all winter long there, creating what's a couple of accidents that have been out here, plus a couple of very near accidents that have been out here. So I think that's something that if the submitting party would at least talk to everybody involved, I think that's going to be one of the concerns that will help this project move forward a little bit smoother, is to try and figure out how to correct some of that issue. And again, I'm concerned about how much water is going to go interrupt my septic system, which I have no problem with right now. But looking at where that driveway is going, and where he's positioning the first house, I'm thinking that that's going to seriously affect my septic system.
Well, actually, your land, this is Bob again, I'm sorry. Your land drains onto this property, so.
Actually, you want to know something?
Physically.
That's not necessarily accurate.
Well, I
We've
saw your
we've got-
backyard when I was up in the back of the hill, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't
we've
worry
got
about.
water going, we've got water pumping. If you look at the back corner of my property and the person, and I don't want to be confrontational, the property directly behind me, you'll see that there's a spring that pops out right on the intersection of all three of those properties, which is directly above my septic system, which right now does drain into those properties. But if you put a driveway there and a house there and create an impermeable surface there, I'm questioning whether the rain is going to continue to dry, to go, the water that's flowing out of my yard is going to continue to keep going down that hill, or is it going to go redirected to my septic? That's my concern. I've just, there's got to be a way that between the two properties we can deal with that water. I just want you aware of the fact that I don't have a septic problem now, where I believe you're positioning this out. And this is the first time I've seen these plans where I see you positioning that house and the new driveway. You're creating a tremendous amount of impervious surface that is going to redirect, I'm guessing, a tremendous amount of water. So it's just something I think we and the Hogans, between the three of us, because I'm flooding the Hogans right now. I mean, I've been flooding them since I bought the property. I mean, the water just rushes right down this hill into their yard. It's a pre-existing condition that we can't necessarily do anything about. I just don't want it compounded even more than it already is.
Okay, well, we can meet out there, once I get a more final design for the houses and the driveways. And I did send you an email with that plan.
Oh, I didn't receive it. I'm sorry.
Maybe it went into your spam. It might have went to your spam, but I only got your
Oh,
email.
okay.
I got your email Thursday.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I sent it out just saying, hey, shoot me an email or have a cup of coffee or something. I just, like I said, I'd much rather just look at the project. I'm all about everybody making money and doing what they want with property they own. I own enough property around. I get it. I think that if you take into consideration the amount of water on this hill, I think the project can go forward without a problem.
Yeah, we'll be doing stormwater. Yeah, we'll be doing some stormwater management, which I don't think was done for your houses, which probably should have been done. So.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
We
100%.
We will not impact those wetlands. I can guarantee you.
Okay. The wetlands is just part of it. We've got 2 private septic systems that need to not be affected as well, going the opposite way of the wetland. It's just how you position where this water goes is going to be key to 2 houses that already exist here that are right on the edge of having issues.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So
I have that.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
have the vision of the water, so I wouldn't worry about it, and I would be happy to meet with you. So, but not until we get further on the design here.
I get it. I get it. That's pretty much all I'm concerned with. I just don't want a negative impact on what's already here.
Yep. Exactly. Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Very good.
That's all I got to say.
Great. All set, Santo?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. No more hands. I got one more hand up. No, I think we're good. Let me double check. That's Santo's hand. Okay. Santo, take your hand down when you get a chance. Actually, I can do it from here. All right. I think we're good then. Bob, I'm glad to hear you're reaching out. We've had some very positive, not surprisingly, outcomes when the developers and the engineers and the builders all reach out ahead of time to the abutters. All the problems are nipped in the bud, right? So that's a good process to start.
All right. Off to a good start. Thank you very much.
We are going to close the hearing because it's being withdrawn, Vinny, right? You're muted, Vinny.
Oh, Vinny's muted.
Yes, is what I said.
Okay.
Yep, we want to close. You want to close the hearing.
Need a motion to close the hearing for 3711 Reservoir Street.
So move.
Seconded by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Diane Gouldner.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All set. I think we're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Parente. We'll see you probably not in August or September. What do you think?
Probably September. Yeah, we're gonna get our test pits done in August, I think.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Moving along here. I've got 210 Brewer Street.
Yep. That would be Zoe.
That's Zoe. And I've got Steve and Arlene Marshalls have a hand up.
Oh, they're all done. You may want to talk to them.
They're all done, yes. Steve and Arlene Marshall, do you have I'll allow you to talk. Do you have a question, or is that from previous?
Yeah, no, my only question is, it seemed like we skipped over us in the agenda, and I wonder if I missed it or if we're coming back to 162 Winnie Street.
That's all done.
It's all done.
Oh, it was done, so I missed it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you.
The good news is you can watch it on YouTube at any time you want.
Okay, great. All right,
You're
well,
all
thank
set.
you for
Yeah, you're all set.
informing me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll prepare that
Ask him
order of
if everything is
conditions.
set to go.
So you might as well, can you repeat the
Just say,
conclusion?
is everything set to go?
Is
Yes,
everything all set?
yes. I will be preparing the
you.
order of conditions later this week and get it off to you. I met with your
Okay.
contractor out there today. I checked the erosion controls. They look good. We just needed to get the meeting closed.
All right, well, thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Zoe's gonna come in here.
And I think Clint Walton is on another job, so I think we don't need him here on this one.
No, I don't see any more hands up. All right. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, Zoe Kroner here with Goddard Consulting.
So I think that we are still looking for a DEP number.
Yep.
So this is an update here in terms of what's going on. Is that what we're doing today?
Yep. So we
All right.
submitted a notice of intent. So yeah, I'm here on behalf of Natalino Silva, the applicant. We submitted a notice of intent, after the fact notice of intent for patio addition, walkway and clearing that took place within buffer zone. I can go ahead and share my screen to bring up the site plan. Okay, can you see my screen?
I can, yes, a little bit small, getting bigger.
Okay, I'll zoom in the front part for now.
Super.
Okay, so just to kind of touch base, what's been going on at the site. So in existing conditions, we had the house, porch, deck, driveway, another deck back here, shed. This is the pool and patio. The surrounding patio was replaced without permit, all with an existing footprint. And then this walkway was added with this new patio to remain as well. And then there was some clearing that took place. And so I kind of want to, and then we have the wetlands that go through the center of the parcel around here up into the eastern portion and goes off this way against the road. And then there's another bordering vegetated wetland in the southern location here. So I kind of want to address this submittal by going over two key issues here. One being the clearing that took place within buffer, and then the resolution for it. So, oh, and I do want to note that we did receive comments from Vincent. Those were very much appreciated. The surveyor was away last week, so we weren't able to get those site plan changes in time. But we do plan to do written responses to those comments, and happy to answer as much as we can tonight, and then also get those site plan changes into you guys as well. So now, when we look at the site plan, we do see this limit of disturbance line. And I do want to clarify that limit of disturbance line was placed there by the surveyor. It was a general limit of disturbance by the surveyor, not by field delineation, not by aerials. So that kind of represents the general limit of disturbance, whether it was clearing, whether it was disturbed, exposed soil. For example, in this eastern corner here, you can see the limit of disturbance line comes against the property line, swings back in here, because in that place, there was ground up dirt from maybe machinery that went back there for the clearing, who knows, but the lawn was kind of messed up. But it was lawn, and we do have pictures of it being lawn in the past. So it's good to clarify that limit of disturbance line and where that stands. And then, let's see. Now, the plan is in the back here. So there was vegetation cleared all throughout here, and the plan for that area is just to allow it to naturally revegetate, because it has been revegetating with a lot of native species, and there wasn't really any need to add additional plantings just because of how much was already coming up. Due to the clearing, slash piles were created, and those are indicated by the approximate brush piles that are pointed out throughout the site plan. So there's one right here, in these areas here, and back here. I do want to note that this brush pile back here in the southern, there's no fill back there. It is more like yard waste, and the applicant did express that he did not place that there, supposedly not placed by him, but he is willing to take it out and restore it with native species, which was included in the restoration plan, a couple shrubs and some wetland seed mix. Excuse me. So that's the plan for that. And then to also remove the slash piles out here and over here. Again, no fill in those areas, just slash piles, get them out of there, allow it to regrow. And also he's willing to put some plantings in those areas where the piles were. This area up in the northern portion, this approximate brush pile, I also do want to mention, and we're going to show it on the site plans revisions that will come in, is that we were able to establish that there was a definitely a limit of lawn line that comes down here, kind of similar to limit of disturbance actually. So some of the disturbance was within lawn, but the tree logs that are there are proposed to come out. Again, that area is already revegetating a lot. But we can, get that stuff out of there and put it back to its original state with some trees and shrubs. Okay. I do want to also note that there is a significant amount of lawn. So as I said, there was lawn coming through this side of the parcel and then all throughout the back of the house and between the pool and into the front. The lawn did continue and actually follows limited sort of generally. There is lawn all throughout on this side. Okay. So that's the first issue. And I kind of just want to pause there and just kind of hear from the commission, if that's okay, if how they feel about this resolution to the clearing. And then I can move on to the second point. Because I know it's a lot.
I mean, this is pretty simple to me. I mean, all the brush that's been cut has got to be removed, period. All locations. And if there's replanting back there, that's fine, but the brush has got to come out.
Yep. And that's the plan. Thank you. All right. So I'll move into the second issue. Now it's the patio. The new patio proposed to remain. It's unfortunate that it was placed within the 35-foot no build zone. So we were able to determine a limit of lawn within this area, which will also be shown on the plan revisions. And we were able to find that via test pits out in the field and also aerial photographs. So this patio was built within lawn, and the applicant has shown extensive efforts to resolve the mistake, and he's also proposing mitigation in the form of a crushed stone swale that goes around the entirety of the patio to catch the extra runoff and help that infiltrate into the ground. He's also providing a post and rail fence over here to try to demarcate the wetland here, but also maybe I'm sure he'll want to put a gate here so he can still access the back if he would like to. And then also these conservation markers, field markers that indicate the 35-foot. It's really great that we have a plan now because, as we all know, there was nothing on file for this, not much on this property. So now we have site plans that show the wetlands, that show the 35-foot to hopefully, or that should prevent any future encroachment from the homeowner. And now he understands wetlands better and their regulations, and future owners as well. Now, also a mitigation area is proposed. Now, this northern part here is majority lawn. The chicken coop is to be removed. There's like a group of really nice trees over in this location. So, but then under it and all throughout here is all lawn. So to be able to put some shrubs in there and some conservation seed mix, wildlife seed mix, and get a nice herbaceous layer and shrub layer would be really beneficial to wildlife. The applicant actually mentioned to me that he's been seeing groundhogs, coming around, and I saw rabbits when I was out there. So to provide that mitigation, the mitigation will be adjusted slightly on the revised site plans, but still in this general vicinity all throughout here. Okay, and now this area here is where the fill has occurred, of course, that fell over into the wetland from the patio installation. Now, the silt fence demarcates the limit of disturbance. So that's where the fill stops. And then, and another thing that will be added to the plan is the FEMA flood zone boundary. So when we talk bordering land subject to flooding, this fill may be within bordering land subject to flooding, but the plan is take the fill out that's within the bordering vegetated wetland. So a temporary impact, so it won't affect the bordering land subject to flooding. And then also we'll be adding, as requested by Vinny, the grade changes for this area of the slope. And really the idea of it is just to get the slope stabilized. So taking out the soil in a way of just kind of getting the fill out of the wetland, of course, and then taking the fill, going up the slope to kind of even it out, and enough to put a fresh loam down along the slope and do some plantings along the side to stabilize it. So that's the plan for that area that was proposed. So let's see here. Yeah, so in conclusion, and I actually do want to add one last thing. Thank you everyone for your time. Goddard does believe that these forms of mitigation are suitable to protect the wetlands under the Town of Northborough's wetlands bylaws. The last thing I just want to request, unless there's any strong objections, is there's been piles of loam on the site for quite a while now. And the applicant would like to lay that loam down just between and it's mentioned in the notice of intent, all within lawn, just between the house and the pool where there's exposed dirt, and do some lawn seed, which I think would be really good, especially with all the rain that we're getting, to stabilize that area. Thank you everyone so much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Great. Thank you, Zoe. Thanks for hanging in there tonight. It's been a long meeting, so. I'll just get right to the point here. I have an issue with the patio. The more I think about it, the more I think it should come out. And that's basically because, I don't like precedent where we say, you know what, oh, somebody did this and they just put a patio inside the 15-foot. Oh, I'm sorry, but I won't do it next time. I think there's an issue with the patio. I mean, move it to the other side. Vinny, you and I were talking earlier today, and I think you said that there was an order of conditions back from several years ago around the pool.
Yes, when the pool was permitted back in, I think it was 95 or 97, there was an order of conditions that were issued that said no alteration would go more than 15 feet beyond the pool.
Yeah.
So there's even precedent there. So I'm everything else sounds good in terms of the removing brush piles, putting some plantings in. I have an issue with the patio staying there.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Greg. If this had come before us, I don't think we ever would have allowed the patio. So
we would have said move it to the side or something, find a different place.
Yeah, exactly. So to retroactively agree to it, essentially, I don't think that's the right approach either.
Yeah, also just on my end, I mean, I was flipping through some aerials and stuff too. I mean, even the deck that was added at the back of the pool area looks like it was sometime between 2018 and 2019. So that deck on the aerial just kind of, pops in there too. So I think that's something that's right up against the wetlands too.
Comments from the commission, questions, concerns? Okay.
Yeah, the only other thing that I agree with what Zoe had said. She summarized everything well. The idea of the grading around the patio is true. It's going to be difficult to grade. They may need a wall so that they don't have to go over 3-to-1 slope from the wetland elevation up, but we still have to get the plans to see what the flood levels are and how much filling they did in the floodplain. But the other area in the back where or down near 290, that was my concern. That's just a dumping area for lawn and garden wastes, and it's filled wetlands. You can see when you're out there. And I would like to see a little more detail as to how they're going to address it instead of just a note that we're going to pull out the grass clippings or pull out the fill. I'd like to find out how much fill has been put in there. It might be just an area 5 by 10, but it could also be an area even larger than that. So I'd like to know before they start doing the work and then looking at and see what they have for a restoration plan for that area.
Okay. Any more questions, the commission comments? Okay. All right, Zoe, so you got kind of a feel for how some of the commission is feeling here.
Yeah. May I add something? May I add a comment?
Of course, yes.
Oh, thank you. So, yes, I understand where everyone's coming from totally. And this was, what we wanted to go for since it was already there and try to mitigate for that additional patio. I do want to just remind the commission that if the additional patio does come out and go outside the 35-foot, we would lose the opportunity to have a nice mitigation area with shrubs and herbaceous. It would really just be restored to lawn. So I see more of a benefit to creating more of a nice, even naturalized layer out there than just putting that space back into lawn. And then to note on that southern area, Vincent, I think I'm just looking for more clarification that is it that you want an exact volume calculation of what's back there? And I'm not sure how we would calculate that volume of brush piles.
Well, the brush pile is not so much. It's the actual dumping in the wetland that's near the property line. The brush piles, your explanation to remove the actual piles is good. I'm fine with that. I think the commission is in support of that idea. It's the fact that way in the back, and it may have been the neighbor dumping, it may have been this property owner, but that area has been filled and it's wetland because you can see, you step out on that pile of lawn clippings and branches, and it's wetland all the way around it. So it would be whether you dig it out and do a probe and see when you get down to the natural soil from the original wetlands area when the 290 was built. I'm not sure because it's all been created wetlands, so it's not a pristine 100-year-old swamp. So it's going to take a little thinking, but just saying you're going to scratch out the material and replant it, I think we need a little more detail so it doesn't, so it's clear to a contractor what needs to get done. And if I go out there and I'm monitoring things, I want to be able to say, okay, the plan says you're going to take an area or a volume of such and such. We need to have some definition out there.
Oh, I think my colleague Mark Arnold is on the call. Would we be able to let him
Sure.
conversation?
Sure. I see Goddard Consulting listed. I will, may promote this person to panelist. Okay, done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg and Vincent. Appreciate the comments you've had. I just want to clarify this because I know Zoe's going to be working with me probably on the soil removal for Vinny we can definitely do some probes to figure out the average depth of the material that's there. With this kind of situation, you need an expert on site to make sure all the material gets removed. Giving a volume number to a contractor is not going to help. You need someone who actually understands what happens with wetland fill situations. So many people from our staff have dealt with that situation where it's a foot by foot call when you're removing debris and material. So in this situation here, I see it as a twofold effort. There's a contractor and there's a specialist out there working together to make sure all the material comes out. So we can get you the information, but I want to make sure that there's going to be some flexibility needed as we work, because again, there may be a section that's deeper or shallower and we may not be able to probe everywhere. So as long as that's understood, we can get you that information.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what we're doing. We're talking about a plan, and I'm just looking for like general sizing. Okay, what to anticipate. And I think we can do that with a few probes that get done. And then when we get to the details, you just have that in your plan. And that's typically what I've seen in your plans in the past, is that a wetland scientist is going to be out there, we monitor it, and it's good.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, any more questions from the commission? Comments, concerns? Okay. I don't see any hands up.
So I think just for more guidance to Zoe, the idea of we're going to need a plan to show the removal of the patio as your proposal, as opposed to an after the fact. I think everyone's okay with the surround around the pool as well as the walkway. It's just that I forget what I think it's called, a patio, but it was a pavilion or something like that. But I think we're going to want to see a plan in that area. Is going to be not a concrete structure anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Good.
The last thing, would it be okay with the commission for the applicant to spread the loam piles that he's been having sitting there for a while? I can be on site if it makes everyone feel more comfortable, to make sure it will happen all within just the exposed dirt sections and within lawn.
Yeah, my only concern with that is you just explained that area down at the east end of the wetland is a lawn and exposed dirt section. I wouldn't want them getting down in there. I mean, if we have them stay, can you zoom into that image a little?
Yeah, he actually just, because at this point, the most of the grass is already grown in this section here. So he's really just looking to put it right where my cursor is circling here, and then over here, and then up in this area over here.
Yeah,
So would we want to hold off if he needs to access and remove the patio?
I think he would just prefer to just do it because he's been getting complaints from the neighbors about it looking bad, and he's been having some problems with lots of rain coming and all the exposed dirt not being able to stabilize. So I think being able to just have them spread the loam in just those areas and put the lawn seed might help just stabilize the area a little bit, even if it gets a little bit messed up when they go to take the patio out.
I think Justin raises a good idea. Just when they go to take that patio out, that's a lot of work, and they're going to have some big machines. So they're not going to drive over their walkway. They're going to drive right along the west side of the house, I assume. But they have to watch out there because that's where the septic system is. So they're going to have to be careful. I don't know that having loam out there, and at this time of year especially, I don't know that grass is going to be taking, though this year is totally different. Normally I wouldn't plant grass in August.
I mean, the concern here is, again, that we're maybe for one hearing from an approval maybe of an order of commission, so they get it recorded before we can actually start work, have a pre-construction meeting. Getting this loom spread and stabilized buys you 6 weeks of an area that's spread with loom and grass, 6 to 8 weeks in the buffer zone. So it's the areas that are on both sides of that walkway that are sort of where the piles are sitting, just to level them out. So I think that's a plus to everything. And again, if we're going to be around to do the probes and stuff, so we can make sure that nothing else happens there. We've got photos already of the area, so we'll know if anything changes.
In my 2 cents here is if the owner wants to assume the risk of doing this, that he may have to drive machines through it and rip it up and so forth, chew it up. That's one item. And if we have on-site supervision from Goddard, that's the other piece of it. But I don't want to see that the stuff gets spread. And then when the plan comes in, they do some sort of Rube Goldberg approach because they don't want to drive through their newly created lawn. That's not going to fly.
Right. Yeah, then if the commission is kind of tending that way, I would ask that you add a section of sediment fence kind of at the limit of the pool apron on each side, so it doesn't, and maybe over to the chicken coop area, tie into the existing erosion control or the sediment controls, so that you have a perimeter control for where you're going to be putting in the loam.
I'm sorry.
Reasonable.
Could you indicate where that was again? I'm sorry.
Outside the 35-foot buffer zone, if you want to kind of follow that area. Put in a barrier from the apron of the pool over to that fence on the east side, and then probably some way to contain the area off to the west side of the house where it's not already got a sediment control line.
Can that barrier just be a wattle, since we're only talking about loom here?
Can you repeat that? I didn't get that clearly.
Can the control barrier be just a wattle and not silt fence because of the loom?
Why would I guess I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to go with the typical silt fence wattle.
Putting a silt fence through the middle of the lawn. I mean, hopefully, if he spreads the loom the next week and seeds it and waters it with a sprinkler, he could have a lawn that he could walk through, but then he's gonna have a silt fence right through the middle. So if he puts a wattle down, it's a lot easier to just pull the wattle up than to rip up the silt fence. So that's why I was asking, because we're spreading loom here. We're not excavating, we're just spreading loom. It's not gonna wash much, and we've got grass all around it. So a wattle would protect it from moving at all.
Yeah, I don't, if the commission's okay with it, I would go with a larger wattle, something bigger than the 6-inch, maybe the 8 or something, so that you'll have a little, because you're going to bury 2 inches. You want to have enough so you can store things, because that area off to the east side is where the slope goes down. There's a little channelized section, and if we get the rains like we got the other day or earlier today, that loam material would be moving.
Yeah, we can do 8 inches.
Good.
Any question, the commission, concerns? Okay. Then we are, Zoe, any more questions before we moved on?
No,
Zoe?
thank you. No, thank you everyone for your time.
We need a motion to continue this to the August meeting.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Todd Helwig. Roll call, Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
Is Tom with us still?
I am, but I was not here for the whole thing, so
Okay.
I'll pass on this.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And I vote yes. Vinny, you're muted. Okay.
Yeah, if you just let me know when the sediment control is up, I'll come out and check it, make sure it's okay, and then you can spread the loam.
Okay.
Very good. Thanks, Zoe. Thanks, Mark. All right. Moving along. See, Todd, now you know we did what we did earlier on here, right? So it's evident. Oh, gosh. All right, 301 Bartlett Street and 150 Hayes Memorial, the estoppel certificates. I don't know if we have anybody on for this. We did receive, Vinny did receive a memo from town council that basically said, as long as, and I'm going to paraphrase, Vinny, correct me if I'm wrong, which I know you will. As long as the commission doesn't note any violations to either site, we should just go ahead and approve the estoppel certificate. Is that?
Yep, that's a good summary.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Sorry, Diane, can't hear you.
I said that's exactly what it is. And I don't think we made any changes.
No, there have been no violation on either site from our perspective, from the conservation side. So I think we just need to vote to issue estoppel certificates or to sign the estoppel certificate, Vincent.
Yep. Yeah, to approve chair's
approve.
execution of the certificates.
For 301 Bartlett and 150 Hayes Memorial Drive.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Second,
Seconded by Dan. Roll call. Dan Clark,
yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Tom Beals.
Yes.
I vote yes. All right. All right. Certificate of compliance with 30 Forbes Road. Was this also one, Vinny, that we were going to approve? We discussed it. There were no issues, but there was no DP filing.
No, this one, this is a certificate of compliance. This is the one that we went out and looked at months, I think it was in April, and they didn't have a catch basin hood that was required. So they've replaced that and they have a hood in place. I was out there and checked it. So I think everything is complete.
Okay.
Make a motion to issue a COC for 30 Forbes Road.
Second.
By Todd Helwig. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes, sir.
Tom Beals.
Yes.
I vote yes. Issued. Okay, now informal discussion. We got some people hanging in here. Informal discussion, Vincent. We have Mount Pisgah and Edmund Hill Conservation Area update, the forest, the plan. Give us a quick update on that.
Yeah, quick update is that we didn't get any proposals submitted, but it was we had two people said that they were not interested because it was too far, and another person who was more worried that they wouldn't qualify for the logging operation if he was the forester. But we did get one person, actually two people one person who was sick, who definitely wants to submit and can get something submitted to us, and another person who is considering it. So what I'd like to ask the commission for your indulgence one more time to extend the proposal to receipt of the proposals until I think it's July 21st, a couple of weeks this month. So if you could extend that, I'm hoping that I will get a proposal in hand.
Sounds fine
Why
to me.
not?
Yeah. Why not?
Right. All right.
Does anybody have an issue with extensions?
No.
Nope.
Not me.
And I will send a notice out to all the people we originally sent it to and said that they all still have the opportunity to submit. And I'm hoping for two, and I'm confident on one.
Okay. Very good. We get to the King Street, Hop Brook soil remediation. The DEP is going, I don't know if you've seen this in writing at all, but the DEP is going to remediate the soil, the polluted soil from the old auto salvage yard and whatever was back there off of Hop Brook. Yep, there we go. Vinny's got the ad. And there's a public forum, I think, coming up tomorrow on that one, the town hall or town library.
Yeah, town library from 4 until 8. They'll answer questions if you have it. If you have information that they don't have already, they would be happy to get the information and incorporate it into their plan. This is also on the town's website as well.
Vinny, they will come in front of us, I think, too, when they're ready, right, DEP?
Absolutely, yes. They have to file a land disturbance, and they're also going to be in the wetland. So they're going to be both a notice of intent as well as a land disturbance application. But actually, they're the state, so they may not need to do the land disturbance just because it's that's a local bylaw. But they definitely will be here before the conservation notice of intent.
Okay. All right. King Street, 3943 King Street. Mr. Sheikh, I will bring you in as a panelist.
Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting is also here.
He's back. Okay. Is Mr. Sheikh coming? There he is. Okay. Rashid, thanks for hanging in. It's been a long night.
No, actually, Mark is gonna, do the detail work here, but I'll just kind of, just will start with by thanking you all, giving us another opportunity here to talk about the same project. Honestly, it's almost embarrassing that years later we are still talking about, preliminary stuff. But unfortunately, things change, I guess.
And again, we're talking informal discussion here only.
It's
right?
it's an informal
Correct.
discussion, so
Okay,
that's the
great.
reason I'm kind of starting that way. So anyway,
We're gonna try to
Mark, you're breaking up.
Mark, you're breaking up. Let me just say a couple of statements, Mark, and then you come in and explain it. Okay. Yeah. So basically, what we want to say is that when we went in a few months ago, thinking of getting the construction permit, we realized that there's a new bylaw for stormwater and net disturbance. So we started following up on that, and I must appreciate Vince for giving us lots of insight. And honestly, usually we just go and apply and then take the feedback. But since Vince and Fred and everybody else was really very forthcoming to give us the the update and the information, so we end up making lots and lots of changes back and forth. And now, honestly, we believe that we are almost close to the finish line. So this might save board's time to go in that way. And it was really Mark's idea that, hey, why don't we just go for informal meeting and just incorporate some of that feedback as well. And hopefully the next meeting, when we come in officially, it'll be one and done. But anyway, without further ado, I would like to have Mark kind of go over and explain and ask questions. Mark?
Good evening, Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting. So just quick recap. So this is a project, an assisted living facility approved several years ago. It still has an active order of conditions for construction. As Rashid mentioned, we now need to apply under stormwater bylaw. So as part of that stormwater bylaw, just to remind yourselves, so the stormwater bylaw requires a butter notification, legal notification, public hearings before the commission. Very similar to what you'd see for an order of conditions. It's just a separate set of regulations, although the regulations are still focused on the key question, which is runoff and impacts to the wetland itself. So the project as a whole, change-wise, I'm just going to walk through some changes, kind of working from the wetlands outward. Basically, there is no change proposed to the limit of work. So the original limit of work that was originally approved under the order of conditions, there's no change. The changes that do happen in that 25-foot buffer is we actually have reduced grading in the 25-foot buffer. And that's by us actually having a wooden deck and railing and some patio space that we've kind of worked in the back to kind of eliminate grading, particularly in this back left corner.
Mark, can you increase the size of that a little bit?
All right, so I'm going to zoom in just, Jess. So this back left-hand corner, there was grading all through this whole side slope. And in this back area here, the limit of work was along the 15-foot buffer when it was approved. So the grading in the 25-foot has been significantly reduced in that area. So we have no change to the limit of work. We have reduced grading. We have no structures, no patios in the 25-foot. There are some riprap that's been added really to clarify what the original plan showed, which was for these roof drains. These roof drains were shown in certain areas. The plans now show the riprap to show velocity. So those are the changes in your 25-foot buffer. No change to the limit of work, reduced grading, some additional stone at the stormwater overflow pipes. That's it for the 25-foot. Going into the 35-foot, we replaced some of the walking paths in the back. This is a gravel walking path / grass, and the purpose of this access path around the whole back of the building is key to fire access. The fire department wants to have good access around this building. We've talked to the fire department. They're actually very happy with this change. They think this change is actually better for them as a whole behind the building. So on the left side, you can see we've got basically a wooden deck with railing. Again, eliminating grading off the back of the building, because now the building just becomes a wall. We don't have to grade or create a slope in the back there. And then in the back here, we end up with a little bit of a wider patio, 2-stage. We do have a retaining wall here. It's outside the 35-foot. And then it's basically at grade walking patio around it. Again, in the 35-foot, there's been some adjustments with the roof drains with the stone. That's it for the 35-foot buffer. So again, pretty minimal changes happening in that area. I think all of them are actually beneficial to what's actually going to happen here from a disturbance standpoint, construction, issues that could happen during construction, I think have all been reduced because of what's been changed here. In the 100-foot buffer zone, there's a lot more changes. We've added stormwater system stuff on the right side of the building here. So you can see this kind of step system here. That's a new infiltration system and detention system designed for the new parking area, as well as increasing the storm status. So once this project goes through your stormwater bylaw, it will have a superior stormwater management for all storms across the entire site than under the current order of conditions. So that's a huge benefit that's happening here. Some retaining walls and other minor adjustments have happened in this area, but again, nothing inside the 35-foot. All this was in the limited disturbance, basically. So in all intents and purposes, not much of a change. The building location is not changing at all. So basically, the building is staying exactly where it is. We're not shifting it in any way, shape, or form. That's really it. That's really it from a summary standpoint. Not many changes. And so our hope with the discussion is we have an order of conditions, and we think that most of these changes are, 1, beneficial to the wetlands, 2, fairly minor, and 3, we're going to be filing before this commission, notifying abutters, having a public hearing, and being legally notified to have a public hearing about the process. So amending an order of conditions seems a little bit like a lot of just extra paperwork for something that's going to happen with the complete review of the commission, complete review by the town engineer. Public's all going to be aware and notified about it. And if there is an issue, it can always be addressed then, particularly under that hearing process. So our hope is to let you know that, 1, we're definitely going to file under your stormwater bylaw, and we're looking forward to being in front of you and hearing from the town engineer on that. And 2, we'd like to kind of get the commission's feedback on, do we really need to file an amended order of conditions to re-notify butters again, to amend an order of conditions when these changes are fairly minor, and again, they're all going to be reviewed by the commission and notified to all butters under your stormwater bylaw.
I'm sorry, can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, certainly.
I think Mark may have forgotten, there is on the left-hand side, Mark, if you can, yes, zoom out. There's also a stormwater system we added on the left-hand side as well. This was not there before. And that's again to add more and to compensate for Atlas 14 and what have you. So and actually that benefit that we're not taking water all the way on the one side, it's actually going in and it's kind of, I think it's outside of 100 feet buffer, I guess. Is this the reason, Mark, you didn't mention?
Yeah, it is outside the buffer zone, but you are right. It actually balances the stormwater on site. Instead of having the stormwater all go to one side, this is actually splitting the stormwater evenly across the site, which I think is also better from a stormwater discharge situation.
I mean, it is more construction cost wise, but we believe with all the feedback we have gotten from town engineer and especially from Vince, and even we asked the feedback from the town planner and building commissioner, and we had meetings with fire chief as well. I mean, we got a lot of positive feedback, and we believe that this is a better, more stable site in the long run. And as you remember, in the original order of condition, we did have septic system in the front, which in the last meeting I updated you that we are taking that away. And now it will be a town sewer. That was in the last meeting, we discussed that already.
So Rashid, the building itself, there's no change to the structure location.
Zero.
It's all around the outside and the back piece, as Mark explained, and all that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what about planning or ZBA if they apply? Have to go back in front of them?
We are talking to, because to be honest, I'm gonna be open here. Because we had few iterations, and somehow in one of the iterations, I don't know who did it, what happened. The building was moved few feet, and everybody kind of got, alarmed with that. And when I came to know, we put the building exactly where it was. So that was one reason where, and Lori has been out since we have, adjusted that back. We're working with the town planner on that. And I believe with what input she gave us, if we put back the building where it originally was, and did these changes, we don't believe that we have to really go to the ZBA. There's no planning board here. There's only special permit from ZBA. And we don't really believe that we have to go for any administrative change. There was a discussion of going for administrative change if we were to move the building, but we're not moving the building.
All right.
That was a mistake.
Okay. Questions from the commission, comments?
My comment is I'm recused from this particular subject matter because Mr. Shake has been a client of my firm from time to time.
I just have one comment on it. Just the roof drain leader that goes kind of right out the back. I think there's a 12-inch roof drain. It's actually the one to the right of that. Looks like it comes out kind of right in the middle of a 1.5 to 1 slope. And I've just dealt with this on roof leaders on other projects. I mean, they get a lot of water that come out of them, and that will probably, I would say, lead to erosion down a 1.5 to 1 slope. So I'd probably just say if there's a way that we could take that out and almost bring it kind of to the left-hand side, somewhere in that flat area, and just create like a little plunge pool or something over there, I think it'll work a little better. But that's all I got.
That's a good input. Mark, would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's a good catch. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
We still have I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I was close to this project. Is there still we got retaining wall in the backside?
I don't remember
there was
anyone in the. Go ahead, Mark.
I believe there was a wall on the right side here for this area here.
Yep.
If I can just I can page to the other set to see, but I think there
was a retaining wall on the left-hand side, and there still is.
Yep. Yeah,
there was a pretty steep slope, right?
Let's go back.
Yeah, so there's a steep slope here, but it's also kind of a kitty corner angle. So there's a slope this direction. So we're trying to flatten it out so we can actually get vehicles down to this corner.
I'm sorry. One other reason we did this is to basically create more snow storage space as well, and this whole thing for grading also make a lot of sense. Do you want to go on the left side, Mark?
Yeah, we didn't do anything. Yeah, there's a wall here just to pick up some grading.
It was there before.
I think might have been there too. It just goes into the buffer zone just a little bit. I think that's just again to tighten up grading versus anything else.
The backside is what, riprap down the slope, or
these slopes back here, you mean?
Yes.
I believe they were to be vegetated.
Vegetation's okay.
So we've heard your comments earlier tonight about erosion control mats, so we'll make sure that we look into those notes, make sure that's there. And
I think that's already in the order of condition, the erosion control mats. There was a lot of discussion in the original order, I remember, and that's already in the,
there we go.
More comments from the commission? Vinny, what's your thought on this one?
I think it's an improvement. It's an overall improvement. I don't know that I don't know if there's significant changes relative to the wetlands. They're not getting any closer to the wetlands. The area over to the, I guess it's the northeast. I can't move your picture. Yeah, to the left side of the drawing, they're not doing any of the grading that they had proposed. So that's a big improvement. The point that Justin made is great about not having a discharge on a steep slope. 1.5 to 1 might be a little tight or a little steep for a regular jute net mat, and you may need to go to something stronger. I don't know what you normally use, but North American Green has a calculator that they use. Just submit enough information to show that wherever it's going to discharge, it's going to be stable. But generally, I think it's something that we can address as construction changes. So when they do their as-built, they put all this stuff, all this information on the plan, so that we could approve it as constructed versus as originally designed.
And Vinny, I think if I remember correctly, we did get in a lot of discussion about the slope back there, and I think they specified, I think it maybe even says it up there, SC 250 matting. And I remember us having kind of a conversation around that particular erosion control, and that it was allowed for up to 1.5 to 1 slopes, and they submitted a bunch of documentation and stuff on that. So just I think we kind of hammered that home, because I remember us going back and forth as to riprap, or could we do it with this, and the engineer at the time really got pretty detailed on that matting that they were going to use.
Yeah, the 250 is great. That'll go to a 1-to-1. Awesome. So that's
Actually,
good.
I think that's what we're using, and we were talking about 1-to-1 at that time, and I agree there was lots and lots of discussion. We actually had a couple of meetings on that, back and forth. So I think it's in part of the order, I think.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the old plans that were approved, and I don't see a mat detail on it. But
well, we can definitely
we can do it. Yeah,
in the as-built.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? So is the consensus with the commission that we do not need an amended OOC? We can deal with the changes through other existing channels?
I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Same.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So our plan is to submit that minor field change request along with our stormwater permit. So that way it'll happen the same hearing. So that way it kind of follows everything. So that way it's all nice and concise for everyone. That way if the public want to have comments when they're notified for the stormwater bylaw, they can also comment on any minor field change notes under the order. That way it's nice and concise and everything's on the table.
Great. Great.
Thank you, Mark. I agree.
Rashid, what was the final outcome for access around King Street and Route 20? What's going to happen there?
It's the same exact. Oh, can you go back, Mark? I'm sorry. We are going through 38 King Street, and we gave easement to the town through 38 King Street. And actually, that's the reason it took very, very long time to go through Mass DOT and get that approved.
You're going to go right across, blow right through that.
That's correct.
Section there.
That's correct.
All right. All right, good. Just curious. Very good. Thank you. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, town has easement on 38 King Street for that reason.
Thank you, Rashid. We'll see you again in a month or so.
Yeah, we definitely want to kind of close this. Looking forward to close it.
Okay. All right. Great.
Thanks a lot.
Mark.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
All right. All right, which brings us to MAC membership renewals.
Yes, we just need a vote to authorize spending $804 for commission members, myself, and an electronic copy of the handbook.
Okay. Seems
Okay,
reasonable. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second? Seconded by, who was that?
Todd.
Todd was thrilled to make that second too. Okay, roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Nick Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Ann Guldner,
Yes,
Todd Hellwig.
Yes, sir.
I vote yes. Okay. All right. CS6 yearly operational plan has been submitted.
Yes, if anyone wants to review it, I have it. They're probably going to start work in a couple of weeks, is what they said, the end of July.
Anything else, Vinny?
That's it. You got the Hop Brook one already. What else do we have? Nope, that's it.
Next month, anything coming in that you know of outside of the, you have a bunch of continues. Anything new coming in?
Not that I know of. A couple of COCs, people are hoping to get that, but that's all I'm aware of.
I mean, you know, we've got to, I don't know how we do it other than push things through, but dropping stuff on your desk, 48 hours before the meeting is just not it's just not the right way to do it.
I appreciate the commission's
you know,
support. That's very
it's gotta
helpful.
be-
It's kind of hard, even though I know it's a town project, but I just,
anything, but just, it's just, here's my stuff, here's my 50 questions that I answered for you. We'll talk about in 10 minutes, come on. So.
Yep.
Okay. Vacations, August 14th, that week of August, any issues at this point?
Mm.
Nothing we know of? Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up they've seen in town? All right, good. Then we can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Todd,
second,
by
Second.
Diane. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Guldner,
yes.
Todd Hellwig,
Yes.
Tom Beals.
Yes.
I vote yes. Very good. Thanks, folks. Take care,
You.
Tom. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, Tom, hope you feel better.
Yep.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.